Everybody enjoy their lunch? Good deal. Welcome to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame induction for the 2020 class. We're grateful that you're here today. We got the biggest crowd we've ever had. Thank you for attending. Before we get into it today, I would like to start off with Nate Krieger is going to do our national anthem.
Please join me in singing our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Stay standing, we'll have a little prayer. Lord, we thank you for this day. Thank you for loving us and blessing us and watching over us. Lord, I was just thinking as he sang that beautiful song, we're so grateful to live in the greatest nation on the planet. We give you praise and thanks for that. Thank you, Lord, for this, the rodeo family we have here that still represents patriotism, friendship, camaraderie. Thank you for those that are going to be inducted today, those that have been, all the friendships and families here. And for all that, we just give you praise and thanks and honor. In Jesus' name, everybody said amen. Amen.
I tell you what, we're very blessed to have people like Andy Taylor and Nate that will come and join in on our induction and do the national anthem and invocation. Today we have a special guest with us from the city of Fort Worth, from the city council. Mr. Dennis Shingleton would like to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Well, welcome to Fort Worth, and welcome to the Stockyards. I know many of you have been here before, but it's always a delight to have you back. On behalf of the mayor and the city council of Fort Worth, I want to tell you how important your organization and organizations like you are to our community and our quality of life and our way of life in Fort Worth. I want to thank you for maintaining the Western culture, the education that you provide, the awareness of that culture, and the entertainment value that it provides. But most of all, the education. We're not instilling that Western culture education enough of our children today, and your organization helps to do that. You know, we have the museum, but that Western culture, it's got to be motivated, it's got to be maintained, and it's got to be encouraged. And this great foundation and group has done that. Fort Worth has a lot of advantages to it, but those advantages are augmented and encouraged and exacerbated by your organizations like you. But the Texas Cowboy Hall of Fame, boy, you've done a bang-up job. We'll take you anytime, any week. We'll have you back. Thank you very much for having me, but I encourage you to continue your good work. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Dennis. We appreciate you being here with us today, and we appreciate your words of encouragement for our induction. At this time, we have a lot of past inductees here, and I would like for all the past inductees to rise, and let's give them a round of applause. Thank you. We've been very blessed. We have some great sponsors. You know, this organization, I've been involved with it for a number of years. We probably have the strongest, most proactive board I've ever been involved with. Everybody on our board will get out and shake the bushes and chase down some sponsors, and we are very blessed this year. We have a tremendous group of sponsors. First of all, I'd like to recognize Little Red's Longhorn Saloon. They are our title sponsor of our golf tournament, the golf tournament. Thank you. The golf tournament had 36 teams, 144 players, got off to a good start, and then Mother Nature stopped it. And before we got anybody killed by the lightning and the thunder that was going on, we called them in. When I called back later on to see how they were going to do the winners, they said, well, we drew for them. I said, you drew for the winners? Rhonda May said they've been drawing in the hat all their lives trying to draw something to win on, so we just drew for the winners. Sounded like a good idea to me. But we thank Little Reds. I'd also like to thank this. Let me announce all the sponsors, and we'll give them a collective round at the end. The Stockyards Preservation Society, Resist All Hats, Ricky Bolin and his group. Encore Bank, one of our new sponsors. They're here today. Appreciate them. Also, Michelob Ultra, new sponsor. Calendar Wealth, Andrews Distributing, Cavender Stockyards, Neutrina, new sponsor. Glad to have them on board. Hume Stevenson Real Estate, American Hat Company, and Regions. And we are blessed to have these sponsors, and thank you. I'd also like to recognize our board. And like I said, you know, everybody works on this board for the same pay. We all do it because we love what we do, and we know this is a great organization. And Johnny Bourne, his vision for this thing, what he had, I think it's really tri-folded from what Johnny's original vision was. But Johnny was really dedicated to recognizing the men and women of the state of Texas who excelled in their specific events. But on our board chair is Renee Harvey. First, if you will stand, our board chair, vice chair, Bobby Curtin, executive director, Marilyn Metter, vice president, Jack Ward, treasurer, Rhonda May, immediate past president, Mike Hudson, and past president of him, Don Howell, and representing the Stockyards Preservation Society, Hub Baker. Also on our board, Tina Hodge, Glenda Tucker, Todd Kirchhoff, J. Pete Laney, Rhonda May, Courtney Cantrell, Wayne Whitehead, Andra Beatty, Mark Baker, and Monty Penny. And these people, like I say, they give a lot of time and spend their own money to come be on our board, and let's give them a nice round of applause. This year, we're going to move this thing along pretty quick today, so we've got a lot of stuff to cover. But our first inductee is the Johnny Bourne Award. The Johnny Bourne Award was started to recognize people who really went above and beyond what they were supposed to do. These are people that are, and it's not just our board members, anybody is eligible for this award, but it seems like in the past couple of years, we've had some board members that really excelled in their field and really got out and went beyond. This lady today is one of those ladies on our board. It doesn't matter what it is, you ask her to do it, she's going to do it. She's going to go above and beyond what she does. But this award gives us an opportunity to recognize people that maybe weren't a full-time contestant. However, this lady was a full-time contestant. She rode bucking horses and bulls, and I mean traveled all over the U.S. doing it too, and was pretty damn good at it. Yeah. And spent many nights over at the Cowtown Coliseum getting on bulls over there. But she is a tremendous asset to our board, and she is to be commended. Again, our first inductee, the Johnny Bourne Award, Andra Beatty.
Andra Estes Beatty of Fort Worth began her rodeo career in 1981 by riding steers and bulls at Billy Bob's, Texas, and competing in local rodeo queen contests. During this time, she acquired her Women's Professional Rodeo Association card and rode bulls and bareback horses across the country. PRCA stock contractors, including Flying U Rodeo, Groundy Brothers and Stephen Brothers would add money to their biggest rodeo so the girls could compete in their own section of bareback riding. Andrew qualified for the WPRA National Finals in Fort Worth 4 years in a row from 1981 through 1984. She qualified in bull riding and bareback riding. In 2001, Andrew started the Fossil Ridge High School rodeo team by recruiting 26 students, 24 of which had never participated in a rodeo event. They competed in 21 rodeos throughout the year, with Andrew holding weekly meetings to help them learn rodeo skills. They worked hard, and by the second year, they were a top 15 team in the North Texas High School Rodeo Association. Andrew served several stints on the NTHSRA Board of Directors. For her hard work, she received an NTHSRA Gold Card lifetime membership. Today, Andrew continues to support, preserve, and promote our Texas rodeo heritage by speaking at city council meetings, as a board member on the Texas Trail of Fame and the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. She's a member of the North Fort Worth Historical Society and a charter member of the National Cowgirl Museum and Hall of Fame. Please welcome Andra Estes Beatty.
Oh my goodness, thank y'all so much. I'm so honored. Such a gracious introduction. How do you follow that up? I'd like to congratulate all of this year's inductees and a past inductee with a special mention to our Texas Agriculture Commissioner, Sid Miller, and his tie-down horse, Pearl. I thank you most of all for President Darrell Barron, our members, our board of directors, Shonda and Tianti Carter, who believed in me from the beginning. It's such a great honor to be standing here today and be inducted into the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. 40 years ago, I was across the road over at Billy Bob's, Texas, riding steers and yearling bulls the first year they opened. That wasn't my original plan. I was going to be a barrel racer. But plans change. God had a different path, and one decision really can change your life. One night walking back from Exchange Avenue for the second show at Billy Bob's, Texas, we came upon a mounted police officer, Paul Kratz, and within seconds, Mike Bandy vaulted onto the back of this horse, spurring with all he had. The rodeo was on, and it was the coolest thing I ever saw. That horse bucking its way down the street. Finally, the officer placed an elbow square in the middle of Bandy and sent him to the ground. There was silence, and then a stern lecture by one really mad police officer. But no one went to jail. Rodeo in the 80s, it was just different. During that crazy year, I acquired my WPRA card, started traveling with Jan Edmondson-Urin, her daughter Donita, Sandra Harrell, and my favorite bull riding sister, Vanessa Estes Mason. What a great crew to travel with, never a dull moment. My worst wreck was at the Cow Palace. During a section of women's bronc riding, I was thrown, stomped, and left lying in the dirt by one of Cotton Rosser's young horses. Rushed to the hospital, left in a hallway for hours. My arm was set without any anesthesia and put in a cast, bleeding internally. What kind of mess had I gotten into here? I called my prayer warrior friend, Jackie Boyd, and throughout the night, God healed me. The internal bleeding had stopped by morning, and I checked myself out of that hospital by that afternoon. Healed with a miracle, arm in a cast, and back at the rodeo. Sometimes our worst wrecks become God's greatest miracles. After rodeoing, I had 3 beautiful daughters that I loved dearly, Shayna, Renee, and Carrie. We were very active in church, and I ended up in 11 prisons. Friends would ask my daughters, "Where's your mom?" And they would reply, "In prison." It was one of those prison ministry weekends, and I was at one in Bryan, Texas, that really broke my heart. As I drove away, I knew I had to do something else to make a difference. So we formed the North Texas High School Rodeo team with 26 students. Only two had ever competed in a rodeo. And by the second year, we were top 15 team. But most amazing of all was how they worked together as a team, helping each other be their very best. Together, we produced 5 rodeos, 1 bull riding to raise funds for Rocky Top Therapy Ranch. We also produced the first rodeo that had been held in Keller, Texas in 35 years. These students worked so hard to get that arena in shape. They strung wire. It was just amazing to watch them at work. I will never forget the impact those students had on my life. I want to thank my incredible family for their support, my beautiful mom, Betty, super awesome dad, Brad, and his wife, so kind, Joyce, my favorite sister, Vanessa, niece and nephews, Selena, Todd, and several good friends that are here, including the Cowboy Church of Tarrant County pastor, Jimmy Roberts, and his wife, Sierra. You must be doing something right if you can get your pastor to come. On my commemorative plaque, I have a verse inscribed at the bottom, Joshua 1:9, and I think this applies to many of us here today. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. In closing, I leave you with a question that someone once asked me. What would you accomplish today if you had no fear of failure? God bless you all, and thank you for inducting me into the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Andra. Hey, well, we're blessed to have her on our board. Our next category is our scholarship program. Resist All has stepped up a couple of years ago and became the title sponsor of our Resist All Horizon Scholarship Program. And we have a new gentleman on our board that has taken over the scholarship program, Todd Kirchville. Todd?
Thank you, Daryl. You know, normally I speak quite a bit, and I'm not very good at it, and so I'm normally nervous because I'm always following somebody great. Daryl, I want to thank you for breaking that trend for me. I feel extremely comfortable right now. Extremely comfortable. And I'm not that tall either. So I was lucky enough to get elected to the board of the Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame a few years ago. But the greatest honor I've had so far is to be able to serve as a scholarship chair. If you'll read the bottom of your program, it says preserving the past, promoting the future. That's what our scholarship program is about, is promoting the future. We had an opportunity in 2020 to give several scholarships out, and our Resist All Horizon Scholarship winners were Chisholm Allen, Brinley Freeman, and Trace Harris. Please don't let their absence here today be a reflection of their lack of interest. They're exactly where each of us wants to be, and that's inside a rodeo arena today across the great state of Texas. But let's give them a round of applause. We've got a couple more announcements, but they told me to make it quick, so I've condensed my remarks down to about 35 minutes. I want to, before we bring up Miss Merrill Ellis Adams, you can start making your way up. I want to tell you that our scholarship program is something that is growing. Our goal is to have more money than we have kids, simply because we want a continuous flow of money. As you hear from the Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame in the coming months, weeks, years, you're going to see an opportunity to be a part of promoting the future with our scholarship program. And I encourage each and every one of you to take the opportunity to give where you can to our scholarship program, be a part of a great growing group of people who are investing in tomorrow's leaders. I have never, ever, ever, and I spent 21 years as a superintendent for the National FFA. I have never, ever met a finer group of young people than our scholarship recipients that I've had a chance to work with. So as Ms. Adams makes her way to the stage to make an announcement, let's give them one more round of applause. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. You snuck up on me.
So thank you to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame for allowing my brothers, John, Jimmy, and me to award and give this scholarship in memory of our parents, Logan and Mabel Adams. The recipient is Riley Harris. He's a junior at Tarleton State University. All you Tarleton girls over there. Yeah, there you go. He was not able to be here today because he's competing at a college rodeo, But he's one of the up-and-coming bull riders. He was 86 points over here at the Coliseum at Northside at the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo qualification and qualified for our rodeo, so we were proud of that. He's also a very outstanding young man. Upon recipient of the 2020 scholarship, he wrote a very thoughtful thank you to our family. And that's a rarity in this day and time when a junior in college would take the time to write a thank you. So we were so grateful, and we were so impressed with Riley that we decided to give him the scholarship in 2021. So we'll give him that. And then we just are grateful to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame board for what you do. And my dad was inducted 10 years ago, and his speech was probably the shortest one ever. He said, I'm thankful to be a cowboy, and I'm certainly glad the good Lord made me one. So thank you, board, and welcome to the club, inductees.
Daryl, come on up.
Are you through talking bad about me?
Oh, Daryl, it was all just trying to get you promoted.
Well, I tell you what, you got to watch that Todd. You know how them lobbyists are, boy. Every time they get a chance to give you a cold shot, they will. We have a new award this year, a new scholarship award. If I could get Lori Fluid to come up. Leonard Fluid, who is one of our recipients this year, unexpectedly, we lost Leonard last year. But Lori wanted to do something in memory of Leonard, and this year we are awarding a scholarship in his name, Lori Fluid. Anyway, the recipient is Landris White, and Landris goes to school at Stephenville, right? At Tarleton, and he's on the rodeo team down there. And unfortunately, he couldn't be with us today. They have a college rodeo going on at Snyder, so he's down there. But we did want to recognize the Fluid family. We appreciate Lori. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the memory of Leonard and what it means. Leonard was a great supporter of this organization. He never missed one. He was a great steer wrestler. Many of his friends are here today to congratulate and welcome him into the hall. But thank you, Lori, for your gracious award.
I'll just say a short word. I'm the treasurer, Rhonda May, and we collected $1,880 for Leonard, and a friend of his called, David Majuric. He's here today from George West, and he said, well, are you going to give that money to somebody? And I said, yeah, we're going to give it to that kid that won the Oakberry steer roping and steer wrestling. And he said, I think that'll be good. I said, well, I think we should give him $2,000. And he said, well, I'll put in half of that, and I put in the other 100, so we're giving $2,000 to him.
All right. Thank you, Ron. I didn't know you gathered up that much money. I guess she was holding out on me. You know, and I'll tell you something, when you want a treasurer for your organization, that's the kind of lady you want. She watches, she'll squeeze some pennies together and make sure that you come out right. If you want to get a check she owes you, you better bring a receipt in triplicate. It's like the military. Today, Jeff Metters couldn't be with us. And Jeff has done a tremendous job. His group, Geronimo, put together all the videos. We're blessed today to have a guy to stand in for Jeff. This guy is familiar in the rodeo industry. I've known him probably 35, 40 years. I first met Steve Kenyon when we were doing college rodeos when I worked for Copenhagen Skull. And we did a lot of rodeos, traveling around promoting college rodeo in our scholarship program. And Steve announced a lot of rodeos in the Northwest. And I got to work a lot with rodeos with Steve. He's been doing radio stuff, 25 years. He's been very active in the sport, doing commentation work. We're blessed to have him here with us today. You see him nearly every day doing something on the Cowboy Channel and the Western Roundup. Austin and I were blessed yesterday to get to go over there and do a little interview with him. But Steve, we welcome you today, and I welcome him to the announcer stand. Thank you.
Thank you. How y'all doing? Everybody good? Awesome. There's a lot to get to, and so I'm not going to waste a whole lot of time with thoughts, but there are a couple of things I just have crossed my mind as I've watched and listened to what we've done here today. And I'm not saying anything that is not on the mind of everybody in this room, but aren't you glad to be involved in a sport where we kneel to pray and stand for the national anthem? Isn't that awesome? There are a lot of values and a lot of lifestyle choices, and you know, we all like to have fun and we all like to play, and occasionally we all like to cut our hair down and party a little bit, but there are a lot of values in this room, in this Western way of life, I wish we could share with the rest of the country and so many people who could use the thoughts and the way that we live, and it's just an honor to be here. A lot of folks have come up today and introduced themselves and said thank you for the Cowboy Channel. And I know that if Mr. Gotch, who owns and founds the company, were here, or if Jeff Metters were here, and you're going to hear Jeff's voice a lot today, they would say thank you to all of you for your support, and I want to say thank you to all of you for the nice comments. We're working hard on building a Western lifestyle television channel that we can all be proud of, and I really do appreciate all of those of you who've come up and said hi this afternoon. So, thank you. With that, let's put some people in the Hall of Fame. I would like to start by recognizing the three beautiful ladies that are up here with me that are going to be taking care of our inductees this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would, please welcome Ashley Polson, Miss North Texas High School Rodeo Association. Kendall Pierce, who is the 2020-2021 Miss Rodeo North Texas Fair. And Cheyenne Bland, who is Miss Teen Rodeo North Texas Fair. Ladies, thank you for your help. Our first category of inductees is those who, you know, none of us are here for as long as we'd like to be, but we have all had the opportunity to share in the lives of so many who have come and gone and left this world better than it was when they got here. And with that in mind, our first category of inductees, the Empty Saddles category. I'd like to begin with a gentleman who was born in 1904 in Midlothian, gone too soon in 1948. Take a look at the video. I'd like you to meet Jasbo Fulkerson.
Ralph Jasbo Fulkerson was born in Midlothian, Texas in July of 1904. He grew up as one of 9 children, living near the stockyards in Fort Worth. During his rambunctious childhood, Jasbo seemed to live for the Fort Worth Rodeo, one of the biggest in the country. At age 20, he signed on as a stock handler for the stock contractor for the show. In 1926, Jasbo was the Fort Worth Stock Show champion bull rider. He had achieved status as one of the best bull riders of his time, but his real fame in rodeo came when he decided to become a bullfighter clown. His daring antics in the arena were the delight of rodeo fans across the country. In 1927, he acquired his famous mule Echo and developed the natural ability to make people laugh. He trained Echo to perform many tricks, and he became a rodeo fixture as much as Jasbo, and was with him throughout his last show in 1948. Jasbo combined skill, athletic ability, and comedic timing to entertain crowds at rodeos all across the country. He performed from 1927 through 1948 at the prestigious Madison Square Garden Rodeo. In fact, he was the original barrelman, having invented the device in the late 1920s. His untimely death in 1949 marked the end of one of the greatest rodeo clowns of all time. Jasbo Fulkerson is now a member of the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, accepting this afternoon on behalf of Jasbo Fulkerson, we welcome Tommy and Curtis Neal.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Tammy Helton Nail, and I was glad they did that because that's basically what I was going to tell you guys, and just remind you that our family is so proud of the fact that he invented the act of the clowns getting in the barrel. A lot of people don't know that. He grew up right here in the stockyards. My great-grandmother's house is still standing across the big bridge over here. And usually I'm not nervous because usually I'm down at North Side, timing the rodeo, and these lights are on me all the time. But usually Billy's standing next to me talking. But several years ago, I was running through upstairs, and Hub Baker stopped me and said, "Tammy, is your uncle not in this Rodeo Hall of Fame?" And I said, "Yeah, I know he is. I know he's in there." And I should have took time, but you know, I get out and I go in, I help Cindy put the rodeo together, and he wasn't in this one. He is in Colorado and he is in Oklahoma City, and we're proud of that. But thank y'all all so much for having us, and I'm so glad he's in here now. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. The next inductees that we recognize in the empty saddles category, if they were with us today, probably would have been known as a power couple in professional rodeo. I'd like you to take your attention to the video screen for just a moment. We'd like to introduce you to Foy and Jody Reynolds.
Raised in Texas and during his early rodeo career, Foy Reynolds competed in every event. But due to some injuries, he narrowed it down to calf roping, team roping, and steer wrestling. He fine-tuned his craft at the Bucksteiner Ranch and spent a winter at the home of Roy Seawalt, learning the finer points of calf roping and how to be a consistent winner. In 1946, at the age of 19, Foy set the steer wrestling arena record of 5.3 seconds at Madison Square Garden. It stood for quite a while. In 1958, he started the Rocking R Rodeo Company with his wife Jody, and they produced RCA rodeos from Florida to New York. Foy was especially known for his great bucking bulls. He became known as the Bull Man. He also had great bucking stock at the National Finals Rodeo in Dallas in 1960. Jody Reynolds was born in Borger, Texas, and later moved to Dublin. Jody was an RCA trick rider and performed at many rodeos in Texas and across the country. He even performed in the Dominican Republic, Cuba, and Canada. Jody was known for her unique fire jump act, which she performed while doing a Roman stand on her horse Badger. Jody was also an RCA rodeo secretary and timer. Foy and Jody Reynolds are now members of the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
And I believe the Reynolds family is here this afternoon on behalf of Foy and Jody.
Well, I'm Ronnie Dewey's. I'm the son-in-law. This is my wife, Dallas Reynolds Dewey's, the daughter of Jody and Foy. And the video said about everything that we had planned to say. But when we were first informed that Jody and Foy might be inducted here, our initial thought was, how could that be? They're from Florida. But they were both born and raised in the state of Texas. They both rodeoed for more than half their lives in the state of Texas. And they started a rodeo production company that debuted in Texas before they moved east to the Mississippi. Jody was born in, as I said, in Texas, self-taught. She became one of the premier contract acts in this country in her era. Always involved in the PRCA Southeastern Circuit until the day she passed away. And Foy was a cowboy. He was the ultimate cowboy. And before we get off the stage here, I'd like to introduce Joni Gabriel. If not for her dad, Jack Gabriel, that financed Foy Reynolds Cattle Company. That's still in operation today. It started in 1957. It's still family owned and operated. If not for Joni's dad, Jack Gabriel from Lockhart, Texas, there might have never been a Foy Reynolds Cattle Company or a Rockin' R Rodeo Company. And Joni's sitting with us today, and it's a proof that that our lifestyles forge relationships that are timeless and geographically, there are no boundaries. And we would also like to thank everybody and anybody that had anything to do with this. If Foy were here today, I know what he would say. He would say, give this honor to somebody that deserves it more. But I'm sorry. I don't know how you can give your entire life to something and your contribution lasts a lifetime. And we've got grandkids and great-grandkids stacked up and ponies stacked up for every level of competition. I've got a feeling that their legacy is going to last for a lot longer. And how could you give your entire life to something and 25 and 35 years respectively after your deaths, your contribution still lives strong? And to each and every one of y'all that had anything to do with this, we thank you very much.
Congratulations. Our third and final inductee in the empty saddles category, Taylor Webb, coach and a cowboy, a steer wrestler, a football coach, and a wrestling coach. Let's go to the video and introduce you to Taylor Webb.
Taylor Webb began his coaching career as an assistant football coach in Plano, Texas. In 1975, he started the very first wrestling program and helped pioneer wrestling at major high schools in the Dallas area. He was inducted into the Texas Wrestling Hall of Fame in February 2020. Over the course of his rodeo career, which paralleled his coaching career, Taylor was a member of the PRCA, the IPRA, and CRA. He was one of the top Texas Circuit steer wrestlers for over 20 years and was a consistent winner. He was a 9-time Texas Circuit qualifier, and he also won rodeo titles in Pecos, Dallas, San Angelo, and was a 3-time Mesquite year-end champion. He qualified for the IPRA finals in 1976 and was a CRA champion in 1976 and 79. He was one of the toughest competitors to beat in steer wrestling jackpots and head-to-head matches. Taylor retired from coaching in 2006 and was living with his wife Teresa at the time of his passing in 2019. They raised 2 sons, Jared and Blaine, and he enjoyed spending time with his family, including his granddaughter and namesake, Taylor. Taylor Webb is now a member of the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the family of Taylor Webb.
Hello, everybody, and thank you all for allowing us to be here, and I guess most of all for inducting my dad into this prestigious organization. Rodeo was something that became very, very important in my dad's life and allowed him the ability to compete in something other than teaching the kids in the wrestling aspects that he did. As a smaller guy, I think it was something that he took pride in driving the event of steer wrestling so that he could show other people that you don't necessarily have to be the biggest guy to go out and compete and have the chance to win. Something that I think he cherished all the way through his life. He was the ultimate competitor, as anybody out here that knew him knew he always was and would be. On behalf of the family and myself, I just thank you once again for the opportunity to have my father inducted in this organization. Thank you.
Congratulations. Our next category of inductees is Rodeo Organization. And we get to tell the story this afternoon of a college women's rodeo team that made history that will probably never be broken. Let's get to know the ladies from Tarleton State University.
The 1969, 70, and 71 Tarleton State College women's team accomplished a feat that's never been equaled, and given the level of competition today, it probably never will. They were the national college champions for 3 consecutive years. These ladies were on one or two teams: Karen Walls, Sally Preston, Angie Watts Averhoff, Vicki Higgins Emerson, Connie Wilkinson Wood, Sharon Harrison Youngblood, and Martha Tompkins Jordan. National event champions were Watts Averhoff in goat tying, Preston in breakaway roping, Wilkinson Wood in barrels, and Tompkins Jordan also in barrels. All are college graduates, native Texans, and still live in Texas today. They were the first inductees in the Tarleton State University Rodeo Hall of Fame and have been inducted in the Stephenville Walk of Fame. All are active in their communities and in the Tarleton State Rodeo alumni. Please welcome this three-time national champion women's team to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Well, here they are, Tarleton State College, three-time national champions.
When you're in your 70s and someone even remembers your name, it's an honor, much less that you've done something. Like many of you, we've gone from who's who to who cares to who's that. And we'd like to thank two groups. The first being our parents who loved us, nurtured us, hauled us all over the country, and gave us the opportunity to rodeo. And all our parents are deceased, so we're 70-year-old orphans, just like many of you. And we'd also like to thank Tarleton State College for the quality education that we received. Thank you very much.
Ladies, congratulations. I think I said university, Tarleton State College. So we have an opportunity today, in addition to all of our inductees, to recognize and have an auction and raise a little money. And our auctioneer, Todd Kercheval, and our first item is about to go up for bids. Todd?
Yes, sir, it is. Okay, we've got, let me make sure I get the right thing here. Okay, do y'all mind helping me out just a little bit? Y'all quick, take our picture, the pretty girl next to me. All right, hold that way up for him. This is a signed print by all the inductees for the 2021 induction. A signed print with all the inductees' signature on it, but that's not all. Hold on, that's not all. Oh, there you are. Most ladies turn me down. I figured you just wouldn't come over here. We've got some pictures, and you'll excuse me, I'm going to unroll these. How many times have you been going through something and have seen a photograph and you thought, I wish I knew what that was or who that was in the photograph? Well, we have an opportunity today in lot number 1. Mr. Jim Houston has provided us some pictures from, and if I get the dates wrong, guys, y'all let me know. This one says it's from the 50s, and we've got 3 smaller ones that's from the 60s. And each one of these photos has the name of the animal, the name, and this is the only one that doesn't have him upside down. This is somebody else. But it's got, and one of them there's a bulldogging, who's hazing. This is an opportunity to have a piece of history in your home. And it's really, really special. It just came to us today. Daryl was showing it to me earlier, and we decided, let's put it up for auction because this is a high-quality item. Where's my young lady? I'm going to give it to you. Daryl, it's only one of us can talk on the mic at a time, okay? You're taking my words away. No, Daryl reminds me that Mr. Houston, who is one of our inductees, has sent these. And so this is a very, very special opportunity. So before we get into selling lot number 1, because I want you to, guys, lean over and just say, honey, it's my turn today. I want to buy what I want to buy. And then, guys, when it's her turn, don't say a word about it. But when you walked in today, Did anybody look up at the building? Did anybody just have a chance to look up and see what it said? For those of you who didn't, I want to let you know, it did not say Walmart. This is not the bargain basement opportunity. This is a chance to participate, put money back to the Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame to continue the mission of preserving a history and a culture that we all love. So, we've got the pictures. This is all one item. Our young ladies walking around with the print with all the inductees in it. We probably are going to hit about 10,000. Everybody raise your hand if you've been to an auction before. Clearly, y'all been to my auction. Nobody does it. You did, so you're opening the bid. Thank you for 10,000. We want to make a little money here, so let's get started. Let's go. $200, $200, $200, $200, $400, $400 now, $25, $425 now, $50, $450, holler out because I can't see you because of the light, $450 now, $75, $475 now, $75, $475, $475 now, $500, $500 if you want back in the back, $500 now, $500 now, $500 where, $500 I'm $475 with this lady over here, $500 where, $500 now, $1 now, 500, 500. Did I mention that you can't get these items anywhere else? This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Who's $500? Who's $500 and a dollar now? $500. $500 down here. Thank you, sir. How about 5 1/4, ma'am? $525. $525 now, 25. $525. $25 now, 25. We got to go. $525 now, 25. $525. I'm $500 right here. Who'll go 25? $525 now, 25. $525. Gonna sell it. Haul in. Haul done. Sold it your way, $500, sir. Do you have a bidder number? Sold it for $500 to bidder number 149. Bidder number 149. Thank you, sir.
That's the first of 4 auction items, by the way, today. Thank you, Todd. Let's talk about animals. Let's talk about livestock. We can't do what we do in professional rodeo without some of the greatest bulls and bucking horses, some of the most well-cared-for calves and steers in the world. And one of the most famous of all time, those of us who watched him probably thought he was the most dangerous. Those of us who saw him all knew we were watching greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame the great bucking bull, Bodacious.
1999 PRCA Hall of Fame and 2019 PBR Brand of Honor bucking bull, Bodacious, owned by Sammy Andrews, was a powerful 1,900-pound yellow bull considered by some to be the greatest to ever buck. As a 2-time PRCA World Champion bull, he's one of only 2 bulls to have won both the PBR and the PRCA titles. He was also considered one of the world's most dangerous bulls. After Bodacious seriously injured several bull riders, his owner, Sammy Andrews, retired the notorious bull in round 10 at the 1995 NFR. In retirement, Bodacious toured state fairs and rodeos throughout the United States and even appeared as a celebrity guest at a couple of casinos in Las Vegas. His career has been featured in Sports Illustrated, GQ Magazine, and profiled on Fox TV's Guinness World Records Primetime. Outdoor Life Network even created a documentary about the bull. Bodacious passed away in May 1999 after complications from medicine for a bone infection. Houston Rodeo and Livestock Show presented Sammy with a bucking chute to use as a memorial for Bo's grave, which remains on the ranch today. The Bodacious legacy continues to live on through his offspring. Please welcome Bodacious to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Sammy Andrews couldn't be here with us today. Renee Harvey will accept on behalf of the Andrews family, but we do have some video
I'd
of
thank
Sammy.
the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall for inducting Bodacious to the class of 2020. Jason and I wish we could be there with y'all, but we have to go to Longview, Texas. We're finally getting to have a rodeo for the first time in a year, and we're pretty excited about getting to go. Bodacious has opened a lot of doors for us. He has his own toys. He has his Bodacious wine and Bodacious chili powder. And it's kind of nice to know that an animal like that can create such a stir. Bo's been popular for about 25 years now, and he's been dead for 22 years, and still people like to talk about him. He's about like Elvis, more famous dead than alive. And we got this buck and shoot, compliments of Bob Tallman. Bob's one kind of push Bo and made him pretty special. Bo was kind of the headliner for starting the ABBI, the American Buck and Bull Restoration. And Tallman and I started that. Pretty proud of that. We'd like to thank Rodeo Houston for donating this when they moved from the Astrodome to Reliance Center, for giving us this headstone, as Bob calls it. And this is where he lies, right here on the ranch in Adelou, Texas. We're proud to have him here.
You know, one of the things I always try to tell people is how important our animal athletes are to us. And there might not be a better example than the horse I'm about to tell you about and the horse you're about to meet on the video. His name is Free Malone Jocko. Came off the track in the rodeo arena, quit bulldogging steers when he was 23, passed away at the age of 38. That's the way we take care of our animals and horses. Let's take you to the video. I want you to meet a great bulldogging horse.
Free Malone, better known as Jocko, was born January 20th, 1969. Jocko had a successful career on the racetrack as a 2- and 3-year-old. Recognizing Jocko's unusually gifted talent, Lloyd Hodges bought him in 1975. He had an athletic build, exceptionally good looks, and a great mind, and a willingness to accept training. He was the total package. His steer wrestling career lasted 15 years. Within that time frame, 14 world champions and 19 other NFR qualifiers rode Jocko, along with over 90-plus other riders. Jocko was a difference maker for everyone that rode him. When most of the other good horses of his era were long into retirement, Jocko was still going strong. Throughout his career, Jocko was teamed with 8 different hazing horses, showcasing his longevity. Jocko retired sound in 1992 at the age of 23. He lived a long and productive life, from a 2-year-old racehorse to an exceptional steer wrestling horse well into his 20s. Jocko died in May of 2007. He was 38 years old, never losing his competitive fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, to tell you more about Jocko, Lloyd Hodges.
Woo. A lot of folks out there. I'd like to thank y'all for the presentation. That was great, Darrell. Some people I need to thank. First, I'd like to thank Leonard Fluitt for nominating my horse and all the hard work it took to get him elected. I'd like to thank the committee for putting him on the ballot and everybody that voted for him. And those that you that didn't should have. I would like to thank over the 100-plus riders that rode him throughout his career, especially his regular riders. Laddie Lewis, Leonard Fluitt, Doug Hanover, Jeff Clubb, and Tommy Pereira. My wife, Kathy, who insisted we buy Jocko when times were tough. Her words were, "You need this horse." I can think of a lot of ways to describe Jocko, but these will have to do. He had unequal speed, durability, fierce competitive will. He was intimidating, also very intelligent. Actually lightning in a bottle. He was doubted early in his career. There were a lot of people that didn't want any part of him, as he was a handful, to say the least. The naysayers said he couldn't do what he did. They said he would not be successful, but yet here he is. He proved them wrong, as his record shows. Jocko was forged from a hotter fire. He was as tenacious as they come. Good-looking, well-bred, very sound, legs like iron. I never saw him tired. He was a difference maker for anyone that rode him. I know this, you can't buy that, you can't breed it either. You just look up one day and there he is, and hope to God you don't mess him up. Horses like him challenge you. They teach you humility and gratitude. I knew he needed more training as he was green when I got him, and one guy can't do it all. So I called Laddie Lewis, along with his son Stetson, to help me channel Jocko's energy in a positive way. We got after it, and we did that. He learned quickly. He had a confidence about him. He never seemed like he wasn't in charge. He made being a steer wrestling horse look easy. No steer, arena size, or condition was a problem for him. His free-running style served him well for over a dozen seasons. However, he did have a problem with grand entries and victory laps, as Tommy can attest to. In my lifetime, I've seen and been around many good horses, none like him. The things he could do would take your breath away. He always gave you his best. He never took a runoff. He was special. And I was lucky to have him for over 30 years. And if y'all think I'm proud of him, you're right. Every once in a great while, God puts in an athlete every skill, and sometimes it's a horse. Thank you for this award. My family and I are grateful. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, time to have another auction item. Todd?
Before we sell this next one, this is going to come as a huge surprise to everybody, so I want you to just hang on tight for a second. Daryl Barron forgot to say something earlier. We've limited to 10 minutes. 10 minutes, Daryl. So it's one name, 10 minutes.
You know, if anybody's ever got up and spoke at any kind of function, you always get back to your table and go, boy, I wish I should have said that. I should have said this. And Walt Garrison reminded me one time, he said, it doesn't matter. They didn't know he was going to say it anyway. We have a new board member I failed to recognize today. This guy comes with a lot of credentials. He started out with the PBR, worked for the PBR a number of years. He has now run the Cowtown Coliseum for the Majestic Properties. He was involved in all of the openings and production part of the openings for the PBR World Finals. This year, he and Randy Bernard also did the openings for the NFR. And I would like to recognize our new board member, Clayton Cullen.
All right, our next auction item is going to be for the 2021 Wrangler NFR prize package. We've got one pair of plaza level tickets to the 2021 NFR. The date is December the 3rd. We have VIP seating for the Ned Ledoux concert on Thursday, December the 2nd, 2021 at the Silverton Hotel Casino. For those of you who don't know, that is Chris Ledoux's son, and it's just an outstanding act. We also have VIP seating for the NFR viewing party at the Silverton Hotel and Casino. 2 nights stay, at the Silverton Hotel and Casino. Check in on December the 2nd, 2021, and check out on December the 4th, 2021. This is a great opportunity to go enjoy and see the best in the world perform in Las Vegas, and I think it's time to sell it. Let's go $500. Who bid 500 now? 5.5. $550 and a $50 now. 5.5. 5.5 now. $600. $600. 600 in the back now. 6.5. $650 and a 6.5 now. $700. $700 now. $700. $700 Rhonda May. 7.5. $750 now. $750. $750 now. $800. Now $800. $800, $800 now, 8.5. 8.5 now, $900. $900, it's your turn, Rhonda May. You want me to bid for you? $900 now, 9.5. Don't quit now, ma'am. 9.5. You're already in. I won't let you bump yourself yet. 9.5 to the nice lady in the back. 9.5, $1,000. $1,000. We're about halfway to value right now. $1,000, Rhonda. $1,000, $1,000, $1,000. Now, let's take the stakes up. $1,100. Who's $1,100? This is a $2,100 package if you got it at value. We're at $1,100. We have some work to do. $1,100 now. $1,100 now. $1,100. $1,100. Thank you, ma'am. Now $1,200. Now 13. Back to you, ma'am. $1,300. It's only a couple $100. It's still a hell of a deal. $1,300 now. 13. We're just getting to know each other. $1,300. $1,300 and a dollar now. I'm $1,200 in the back. I need 13. $1,300 now. $1,300. Thank you, ma'am. Listen, I want you. You were yelling at me earlier. Yell out now so I hear you. $1,400. $1,400. $1,400 now. $1,400. $1,400 and a dollar now. $1,400 Maryland now. $1,500. 15. Look at me, ma'am. It's just you and me. $1,500 now. 15. Hey, ladies, there's 2 tickets, so we can work out who's going in a little while. I need $1,500 from you because it's your turn. Maryland's got it at 14 now. $1,500 and a dollar now. $1,500. $1,500 now, 16. Don't play just once, Maryland. $1,600. This is a continuous game. 16 now, $1,700. $1,700. $1,700 and a dollar now. 17. We're getting there slowly, ladies. $1,700. $1,700 and a dollar now. 17. She's getting weak. I can see it in her eyes. I talk to her all the time. $1,700. $1,700 now. 18. Come on, Maryland. You're the strongest woman I know except for this other lady. $1,800. $1,800 now. 19. 19. I'll only ask for 19 one time. 19. After you give it to me, I won't ask any more. $1,900 now. 19. 1,900. I've got Maryland at 18. 1,900. 1,900. It's just $100 more. 1,900. 19. We got to go. $1,900 and a dollar. 1,900 now. 2,000. Maryland, I need $2,000. I'm working way harder than I'm getting paid for. $2,000. Help me out. 2,000 now, 21. $2,100 now, 21, 21, 21. All in, all done. I'm going to sell it. $2,100 and a 21, $2,100. Sold it, $2,000. Maryland, $2,000. Maryland Metter. Do you have a bidder number, Maryland? Okay, I got you. Thank you. $2,000. Thank you, ma'am, for playing the game. Thank you, sir.
Oh, by the way, there's a silent auction in the back. Daryl, you said they were going to close out about 2:30? Okay, so if you haven't been checking your silent auction items, they will close out at about 2:30. So you might want to take a look and see what's available. All right, let's go to the gold card category. And in the gold card category, our first inductee, when you grow up idolizing people like Casey Tibbs and Bill Linderman and Jim Bob Altizer and Dean Oliver and, of course, this man's dad, you've grown up with some pretty good role models. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the video. I would like you to meet Roy Angermiller.
Idolizing Casey Tibbs, Bill Linderman, Jim Bob Altizer, Dean Oliver, and his father, Roy Angermiller was deeply inspired to follow rodeo tradition and lifestyle. Serving 2 years in the U.S. Army and a tour in Vietnam ultimately led back to his passion, rodeo. He was on the college rodeo team at Southwest Texas Junior College in Uvalde, Texas, and earned a master's degree at Sul Ross University. 25 years of PRCA membership led to many achievements, 2 Texas Circuit steer roping titles, and tying the fastest steer twice during his 8 steer roping finals qualifications. He's been a team roping and tie-down champion at Pecos and won the steer roping at Pendleton. Angermiller is a PRCA Gold Card member and a Sul Ross RAS Hall of Fame inductee. He has given it back and paid it forward to future generations in the industry through his long and distinguished teaching and coaching career at Southwest Texas Junior College. He also served on the NYRA Board of Directors. Roy Angermiller is now a member of the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Roy Angermiller.
Well, I know there's a lot of people out there that have been to the NFR, and I want all of you people that have been to the NFR, think back to the very first one you went to, and the very first run or the very first bull, bareback horse or bronc you were fixing to get on, and you forgot to go to the bathroom first. Well, that's kind of how I feel up here. I should have won't want to go. Appreciate that. But anyway, I want to say a special thank you to Darrell Barron, all the directors, all the board for the hard work that they do and devotion to their time in this organization. And it's very humbling for me to be a part of that. I want to thank my family over here and friends that took time out of their busy life and schedules to come and be a part of this special event for me. I appreciate that. I had to say thank you to Marvin Cantrell for the nomination. Marvin and I have been friends for about 40 years or maybe more, and I'll never forget the first time I met him. I went to try a horse, and I guess that's probably why we stayed friends that long, is because I only bought one horse from him. And I drove up, and the first thing he said to me was, now look at here, cowboy. He said, this is a good son of a buck. And I screwed that other fella, and I'm going to pass these savings on to you. So that was that. No, I'm just kidding. I did own one of Marvin's horses. He trained a war wagon, and we put him in a Hall of Fame, or Texas Hall of Fame a couple of years ago. And so anyway, I was very fortunate. I got to rodeo with some really good people. I traveled a lot. Phil Lyons and Jim Davis, Tut Garnett over there. We went a lot of miles together and had a lot of fun. Got to meet a lot of good families like Ellison, Renee Carter over there is the greatest family I've ever known. I got to watch little kids like Dan Fisher's boys playing around the arena and then grow into fierce competitors themselves. And I can see some gold buckles ending up there pretty quick. I also was privileged to be involved with college teams. I got to watch these kids come out of high school wearing student Wranglers, leave there as young men to pursue their rodeo careers, and even to come back later in life to be productive citizens within their communities. To say the least, a lot of them were a challenge, but they were a lot of fun, and I loved every minute of it. I got to see some sad times, like David Bowen and Randy Durham. They got killed in a plane crash just after they made their first national finals. Other students like Thane Coates, Jason Kincaid, and some others that were killed in car wrecks and never got to pursue their goals in life. And like Jim over there that coached for 40 years at Odessa College, I'm sure he's had the same thing and know the sadness in that. But everybody out here that rodeoed, I know that back when we started, we only thought about one thing, and that was to get to another rodeo as quick as we could, go home, practice some more, and go go to another one? How much added money was there? What would the go-around pay? And as you start to get older, your strides get shorter, and you make sure that you put your horse on a downhill side before you go to get on. We realize that the very best thing about our careers were the people we met along the way. And one other point, real quick, it was mentioned earlier. In all of my years of being around rodeo and being around going to rodeos, most all of them started the rodeo with a prayer and a national anthem. And not one time did I ever see anybody take a knee at a rodeo or disrespect our flag or country intentionally. And that makes me proud to be a part of this group of people, the rodeo people. And I thank you very much for what you've done for me today.
Roy, congratulations. How many of you, when Roy made that comment about, the best part of this industry is all the people we've gotten to know and all the people we never would have met otherwise, we're going, yeah, that's it. Truer words were never spoken. I want to introduce you to our second gold card inductee. He's no stranger to halls of fame. He was in the inaugural Hall of Fame class of the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame back in 1979. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to the video one more time, and I'd like you to get to know Jim Houston.
Jim Houston was born in 1940 in Nebraska City, Nebraska, growing up near Omaha. A visit to the Cheyenne Frontier days at age 10 put him on the rodeo road. He obtained his rodeo card at 21 and made the NFR and won top rookie bareback honors the next year. That started a run of 7 straight trips to the NFR, including world championships in 1964 and 65. In 1968, Houston made the NFR in 2 events, bareback riding and steer wrestling. He won the NFR average in bareback riding and finished as a reserve world champion, and finished 5th in steer wrestling. He was also the runner-up for the all-around world championship that year. But maybe Houston's biggest contribution came as an innovator. Houston created a hard iron handhold and an all rawhide bareback riding rigging, allowing the rider to perform more laid back with a wilder spurring style, totally changing the sport. Houston sold his rodeo equipment business to Neil Barstow, and that company is still going strong today. Houston was a member of the PRCA's first Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame class in 1979 and was also honored by the Rodeo Historical Society at the National Cowboy and Western Museum in Oklahoma City in 2013. Please welcome Jim Houston to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, accepting for Jim Houston is the man who bought that company, Neil Barstow.
Jim was unable to be here today, so he asked me to stand in for him. Back in the 50s and 60s, Charlie Beals was the premier bareback rigging maker in the country. Every year when Jim would leave the NFR, he would go to Charlie's shop in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they would build Jim's rigging for the new year, starting at Denver in January. One year, Jim asked Charlie if he'd put some extra rawhide in his handle. Charlie said he wouldn't do it, and that's when Jim decided to start building equipment himself in Burke Burnett, Texas. During the summers from 1974 through 1986, Jim produced the nightly rodeos, first in Cody, Wyoming, and later in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. In 1979, Jim felt that he didn't have time to devote to the rodeo equipment business, and that's when he contacted me. I was already making bull ropes, rigging bags, and a few other items. After several telephone conversations, we came to a deal, and I ended up in the rigging business. Jim was one of my heroes when I was in high school growing up. Jim sent me some things that he would like to mention. He said, I would like to recognize a fantastic bareback rider, Don Mayo. He was my hero. Don actually could ride better than anyone and was probably going to win the championship in 1963, but was injured in a terrible accident. I always looked up to him and was amazed at his riding style. One of the greatest bareback horses of our day was Come Apart, 6 times bareback horse of the year. He was so powerful and strong that he'd pop your hand out of the rigging if you weren't really tied in and in time with him. When I drew him at the 1965 finals, I won the round, but he cracked my ribs during the ride. It was the second worst jerking that I ever took. The worst one I ever took was a great horse of Butler Brothers called Snappy John. That fall, I won a go-round on him at the Cow Palace. I had my confidence up big time when I drew him as my last horse at the 1962 NFR in Los Angeles. He went out about 4 jumps and whirled to the left, and all I remembered was my head slamming into the ground. I wobbled back to get my rigging, and the handhold was broken. Unbeknownst to me, I also broke my lower arm at the same time. Jim says I always wanted to take up bulldogging, and that's what took me to Burke Burnett, Texas. There were 6 practice arenas within the town of about 6,000 or 7,000 people, and there were 28 bulldoggers who lived there. Aubrey Rankin and his wife Dixie had one of those arenas, and we were always there practicing. And by the way, it took me 7 years before I made it to the NFR. A fellow by the name of Bill Williams would stop by to watch us bulldog. He was a mechanical genius and famous in Wichita Falls. One day he said to me, "You ought to make a pattern for your bareback rigging handles and make them out of aluminum." I was getting tired of constantly building rigging handles, so I finally asked him to help me. We had patterns made, and Bill lined me up with a guy who had a small foundry, and he made the handles for me for $10 a piece. I was making a little money. We were selling them for $25 a piece, and suddenly everybody in the country wanted one. That's when I had to find someone to help with the manufacturing of the riggings. It was just fate that I became acquainted with Ed Campos, a skilled leather worker who got him to move to Burke Burnett with his family and run the rodeo equipment company and build riggings. When they outlawed the aluminum handholds, Ed showed me how to make the handles out of rawhide. A lot of guys, including myself, would never have learned to bulldog if not for Burke Burnett, Texas. Donnie Bowles, a great horseman and cowboy who lived next door to the arena and had a sidekick, excuse me, 8-year-old Rick Bradley. Every night when we were practicing, Rick would take it all in. Rick went on to become an all-state football player and a world champion bulldogger. Rick and I started bulldogging together, and I knew he would be great. It was more exciting for Donnie and I to watch Rick Bradley win the world than anything I ever accomplished. I would like to finish with a story about Billy Minnick and his great horse, Gunman. He was a big, powerful endurance racehorse. Billy sent him up to Burke Burnett to see if he'd make a bulldogging horse. They ran 30 head a day on him for a month, and he never got tired. That fall, they sent him back to Billy, who gave him to Alan Keller, who took him on the road and made a great mount horse out of him. Alan didn't want to buy him. Donnie wanted to and talked me into being a partner on the deal. Gunman cost us $10,000, the highest priced bulldogging horse at that time. We couldn't afford him, so we sold 6 or 7 seats on him to help pay his price. Donnie took him on the road. We had a lot of guys riding him, and it was a lot of fun. Jim says that I'm humbled by this award. I love Burke Burnett, and I love Texas. Thank you.
Neil, thank you. All right, so what time is it? It's 2:20, so we got about 10 minutes to go on that silent auction in the back, and I think it's time for Todd to step back up. We've got another live auction item. Todd?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Would you hold that up for me? Okay, we sold the print just a little bit ago that had frame print that had all the inductees. This is the original artwork that they made the print off of. So there is only one of these in the whole world, and it's right here in this beautiful young lady's hands, but she's willing for a fair sum of money to turn it over to one of your hands. So this is the 2020 Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame induction poster done by Mr. Langford. This is the original artwork, not a print, the original artwork, framed, ready to go on your wall at your home. Who'll start off? $200. $200 now, $250 now, $300. $300 now, $300. $300 now, $350. $350 now, $350. $350 now. Tell you what, we'll go $325. $325 now, $325 now, $50. $350. $350 now, $75. $375 now, $400. $400 now. $400 now, $25. $425 now, $4.5. $475. $475. It's the original artwork. $475 now, $475 now, $500. $500 now, $25. $525 now, $25 now, $5.5. $5.5 now, $75. $575 now, $75. $75 right here now, $600. $600 you're out, Bobby. $600 now you're back in. $25. $625. $25 now you're out, Bobby. Back in for $650. $6.5 now, $675. $675. $675 now, $700. $700, Bobby, your way. $700. $700 now, $25. He's getting weak, I promise. $725 now, a half. $750 and a $50 now. $750 where? $750. $7.5. $7.5 to you, Bobby. $7.5. Talk him into it. So, are you sure? Did you ask nicely? Get your wife to ask. Get your wife to ask. All right, I need $7.5. $750 now. $750. $750. All in. All done. Sold it your way. $725. Your bidder number is? $145. $725. $145. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Todd. Our next category of inductees is the Western Heritage Award. And we're going to show you two videos. We're going to recognize two individuals who worked very closely together in developing, in the great state of Texas, one of the largest rodeo associations in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to learn the story of Jerry Hill.
Jerry Hill resides in Wills Point, Texas. He got involved in the rodeo industry in 1990, serving as a sponsor and assistant coach to the Wills Point High School Rodeo Association. And a few years later, he was elected to the board of the Texas Professional Rodeo Association. He was also a member of the North American Rodeo Commission. In 1996, while serving as president and general manager of the Texas Professional Rodeo Association, he led directors to merge assets with the Central Rodeo Association, creating the United Professional Rodeo Association, and Jerry was elected Chief Operating Officer. In 1999, along with representatives from the PRCA and IPRA and others, they met in Colorado Springs and created the first rodeo industry code of practice for animal welfare. These animal welfare rules are still used today from youth rodeos to pro rodeos. In 2014, he led directors to merge the assets of the Texas Cowboy Rodeo Association with the UPRA, bringing additional rodeos and contestants to the UPRA. The United Professional Rodeo Association began with almost 300 members, 37 rodeos, and a yearly contestant payout of $250,000. Under Jerry's guidance today, the UPRA has grown into one of the biggest and most respected rodeo associations in the country, with 1,600 members, over 280 rodeos, and yearly payouts to contestants of over $5 million. Please welcome Jerry Hill.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the man you just heard about, Jerry Hill. Welcome to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
I'm going to keep this pretty short, so, or try to at least. First of all, congratulations to all of the class of 2020 and all of the inductees. I also want to thank the Texas Rodeo Hall of Fame, the directors, and all the wonderful people that have worked so tirelessly to put this weekend together. I know it doesn't happen in a weekend, so thank you. I also want to thank my many family and friends that are here today, along with those that could not attend. I jumped into the rodeo business 30 years ago when a group of high school kids asked me to help with their high school rodeo team. And from that point forward, it's been nonstop. But I have enjoyed the journey. So there's not much that Becky and I haven't seen over the years through contestants, personnel, committees, and certainly, let's not forget, stock contractors. It's been an honor to watch a lot of contestants as well as contractors move through these rodeo arenas and achieve their goals, many to become world champions. I do have to thank one person specifically, and that would be Stace Smith with Stace Smith Pro Rodeos. Most of you guys know Stace is an 11-time PRCA Stock Contractor of the Year. But before that, he owned Wild Horse Rodeo Company. Stace has always been a friend, and he has made his company and his resources available to our association. And I'm quite sure that I wouldn't be here today, nor a lot of things would have happened if it hadn't been for his help about 25 years ago. So I'm extremely grateful to Stace Smith. I've also had the opportunity to work with some of the most talented people around, way too many to list, the past 35 years or so. But today we celebrate the honor and achievements of this class of 2020. And to each and every one of you and your loved ones, you should be immensely proud. Not let us forget this. The sport of rodeo and our heritage is and always will be our responsibility. I've spent years working on and supporting the welfare of our animals. Our animal athletes are as important as our rodeo athletes. I'm extremely proud of the accomplishments and improvements the rodeo industry has made on animal welfare, but we still have our friends, the activists. Making outlandish claims about whatever at our rodeos, most of the time false claims. And we even have those in Hollywood and Washington, D.C. We even have some in our own backyard. They believe that rodeo has worn out its welcome and it's time for it to go away forever. I don't know much, but this much I do know. These activists, they don't know you. They don't know us. And they sure don't know how hard we will fight to keep this sport alive and well for future generations. This is Texas, and we will never, ever give up. Thank you very much.
Jerry, thank you. Well said. Our next inductee is Rebecca Frazier, who has spent a lot of time working alongside Jerry Hill in the development of some of the things that Jerry just talked about. Here's Rebecca.
Rebecca Frazier was born in Dallas and grew up in Mesquite. She began riding at 11, competing in barrels and going to play days. After becoming a wife and mother, she put her passion on hold. However, in 1984, she would settle in Wills Point and her love for horses was rekindled. In 1990, Becky helped with the local high school rodeo team. She was a secretary, a timer, and served on the board of directors for the Lone Star High School Rodeo Association, and later the Texas High School Rodeo Association, Region 4. From 1992 through 1995, she was also a board member for the Texas Professional Rodeo Association. In 1996, after consulting with the board members of the Central Rodeo Association, the two associations joined forces to form the United Professional Rodeo Association. Becky continues working with the UPRA today. She cherishes the friendship she's made along the way and will continue to work in the rodeo industry as long as the Lord allows. Becky still lives in Wills Point with her husband Bill and continues spending most of her time typing day sheets. Becky, welcome to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Becky Frazier.
I'm not very good at speaking in front of people because usually Jerry's sitting over there going like this. So I want to thank everyone who's given me this honor. I've been in rodeo a long time, hope to be in it even longer. I've raised lots and lots of kids in the rodeo. Most of them have come to be really good people, good contestants, polite, well-mannered. You don't see that very much. I'd just like to thank you that this is a big honor, and thanks for having me.
Tell you something, God bless all those people who help our next generation come up through youth rodeos and high school rodeos. Those kids are well-guided and in a great lifestyle. We have another auction item, Todd.
Oh, where's one of my, thank you so much. Y'all are like a Pez dispenser. Y'all just keep coming out. I love that. Well, now that you see that we have two of them, it messes up my whole plan of the auction. But we have two. There's only 4 of these, and we have 1 of 4 and 2 of 4. These are the same thing we sold framed with everybody's signature on them. They're just unframed. We've got 2 of them, so what we're going to do is we're going to get to a price and we're going to go 2 same money just to speed things along. We're trying to give Daryl back a little time at the end of the program for some type of dissertation. So if you don't want to hear Daryl, you just keep bidding and I'll keep talking. You can buy them without the signatures outside, I think, that aren't numbered for about $25. So we're going to start these at $50. Let's go. Who'd bid $50? $50 now, $75, $75 now, $75 now, $100, $100 now, $125 now, $125. Bobby, you got it. $125 now, $150, $1.5, $150 and $150, $150 right there now, $75, $170 now, $75, $175. I got you at $175, Bobby. Give me $200, $200, $200 now, $25, $225 now, $2.5, $2.5, $250 now, $75, $275. Bobby, I got you at $75 now, $300, Monty, $300 now, $25, $320 now, $25, $325, $325, $325, $325, all in, $325, now $50, now $350, Now, I got to tell you what, I need you at $375. I need you at $375. $375? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. $375. $400. $400. $400. $400 now, 25. $425 now, 25. $425. $425 now, 425. $425. $425. All in. $425. $425. Now I need 50. $450. $450 now, $50. $450. $450. $450. $450 now, 75. I feel bad for you, but let's keep going, okay? $75 now, $500 back to you, Trojan. $500. $500 now, $500. $500. $500. $500. $500. I'm $475 here. I need $500. $500 now, 25. 25. $525 now, 25. 525. 525. All in, all done. Sold it your way. $500. Somebody write that down. 143. Would you like one for $500? You've got the other one for $500, sir. Thank you both for playing. Okay, Daryl's going to vouch for you, which that gives a lot of question about your character, but we got you. Thank you so much.
Y'all having a good time? Awesome. Our next category of inductees is the rodeo personnel category. And as a contract person, I know how special it is for the individuals who are about to be recognized. And I just want to say this about the First Lady that we're going to introduce to you on video. If you think about her family, per capita, maybe the members of the Butler family, there are about as many people from the Butler family in Halls of Fame, one place or the other, as you're going to find any place. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to take to the video right now. Let's meet Dolly Butler Riddle.
Dolly Riddle is a third-generation member of the famous Butler rodeo family. Dolly's grandfather was one of the original Butler brothers who started producing rodeos in 1929. Dottie's grandfather, Elra, and father, Jiggs Butler, launched Butler & Son Rodeo in 1956. Dolly admired the work and artistry of trick riding. At age 14, she and her father talked to J.W. Stoker at a rodeo in Burwell, Nebraska, and set up some trick riding lessons. Immediately, Dolly took to trick riding and performed at many rodeos for her family and other top-notch rodeo producers. Dolly has passed down the art of trick riding to her daughter and granddaughters. Using her secretarial skills, Dolly also began timing her father's rodeos at age 17 and started secretarying rodeos in 1974. She credits her mother and sister Vicky for the precise skill of a rodeo secretary to maintain a top-notch rodeo office. Dolly has been selected to time the National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas on 5 different occasions and selected as the assistant secretary twice. With rodeo in her blood, Dolly has been dedicated to the sport of professional rodeo for over 55 years and is still timing and being a secretary for her brother, Benny, of Butler & Son Rodeo. Dolly is married to Rusty Riddle, who's also a member of the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. They own and operate a ranch in Vernon, Texas. Please welcome Dolly Butler Riddle.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dolly Riddle.
Lights are bright. You know, when I used to trick ride, I guess some of the biggest events I trick rode at was at my dad's rodeo at Oklahoma City in the Jim Norick Arena, and it held about 8,500 people. Cheyenne, Wyoming, I got to work there one year. I got to work here at Fort Worth back in '74. It didn't matter if it was a full house or not. I did not get nervous. But here today, being recognized, bear with me. Daryl, I'd like to thank you and your board members for keeping the 2020 inductees for this special day. here having it in 2021. I'd also like to thank the other inductees, congratulate them. I suppose at some time or another, we could all say we have a favorite rodeo. And when I was a kid growing up in the rodeo business, I would have to say that Burwell, Nebraska was one of my favorites. One of the things that made Burwell such a fun rodeo was because they always had 10 or 12 trick riders. And when you would drive in the rodeo grounds, it was an afternoon performance. And you would see the trick riding horses and the girls in their beautiful saddles all tied up to the fences. And I thought if I could just have the opportunity to do that, I'd have it made. Well, my dad, Jiggs Butler, he made it happen when he visited with J.W. Stoker and made a deal with J.W. to come to our house for a week that fall. I was only 14 years old at the time, and Vicki and Benny and I all learned to trick ride. We didn't have an arena, but we had a straightaway that we made from the loading chute where they unloaded the rodeo stock. It was from the loading chute out to the Highway 34. It was about 300 yards, so you had to learn your trick really quick and get back in the saddle. We did crash once or twice. Well, after about a week, Benny decided he had had enough vaulting, and Vicki, she liked the rodeo office better than she did the trick riding. She trick rode for a year or two until she broke her back. But anyway, she liked working with our mother and stuff. But Benny, he had had enough of the vaulting, and I know I repeated myself there, but that's okay. Not everybody knew Benny trick rode, did they? And I will have to say at this time, this kind of interrupted my train of thought there, but I did get to tell Benny what to do today. Anyway, for the next several years, I'd found my good horse, Hot Shot, and he was as solid as they come, the only trick riding horse I ever had, except when J.W., he always had good horses, and if he ever let anybody else take his good horse Pumpkin and go trick ride at a rodeo that he wasn't at, I wasn't aware of it. But he did let me do that, and that was saying something to me that he trusted me to do it. I had the opportunity to work with a lot of trick riders, which included J.W., Karen Vole, Connie Griffith, my good friend Jeanette Plunkett, Rex and Wanda Rossi, and the list goes on. One of the most things that I relish, as you heard in the video, that our daughter Melissa, she liked to trick ride also, and she started trick riding when Rusty and I lived over here at Weatherford. We had a chicken house and a horse barn and a short distance in between. That's where Melissa learned to trick ride, on Hot Shot. Well, Melissa, she put her trick riding on hold to play basketball in high school, and she played collegiate ball. But when she got through playing basketball, she thought she needed to keep being an athlete, so she started trick riding. And that was somewhere around 2000, 2001, and she retired in 2014. When Melissa retired at Oklahoma City, her young daughter, Shyla, was trick riding alongside her mother at the Jim Norick Arena. This is really special because Shyla and her sister, Lena, are both carrying on the third generation of trick riders from the Butler family, and the girls are booked to appear this year at Burwell for their 100th edition of Nebraska's Big Rodeo, where it all started for me in the 60s. I also would like to add Miss Clara, who's only 6, the youngest of the Navarre girls, 5, almost 6. She is the best helper and if she gets to put her lipstick on, she's ready. And as far as being a timer and secretary, I had to help my mom and dad at the rodeos and make a mad dash to the announcer stand after the trick riding to keep time. Daddy would set up the order of events so I could go back and forth to get my horse ready, trick ride, and run back to the announcer stand. I credit my mother, Una, and my sister, Vicky, for learning what it takes to be a good secretary and timer. This was kind of dropped in my lap when Jiggs and Benny and Ellery all had 3 rodeos going on at the same time, so naturally they needed 3 secretaries. We had a family affair. I've seen a lot of firsts in rodeo, including some of the contestants that, just like Jim Houston a while ago, when they were talking about him. I remember when Jim Houston was just a kid, or I was a kid, he was older than me a little bit. But it was when he first started in the RCA back at that time. Him, Clyde Van Voris, Goyle Dobbs, my dad and Ellery give them all a lot of opportunity back in the 60s when they first started their career. And I think that's awesome that I was able to be a part of that life. Thank you. But where I started to mention there a while ago, the advancement of the rodeo office and these other ladies that have worked in the rodeo office and that we've honored here today, I know they would agree with me that the advancement of rodeo in the rodeo office, when you don't have to see a contestant, you don't have to write a check, you're there if they need you, but they don't need us. All we need to do is keep our computer going and the internet. That's the only thing we need. I secretaried my first rodeo in 1974 at Coleman for Jiggs and Ellery and had the pleasure of working for several other stock contractors when I married Rusty Riddle and moved to Texas. I still work for Benny and Rhett. And as of this year, this is the 92nd year that the Butlers have been producing rodeos. I would have never dreamed. I would have never dreamed that. I guess what I'm trying to say, I can't believe I'm as old as I am. But anyway, I've had a wonderful life. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. I guess the only thing, I want to thank my family and friends from Oklahoma for being here today. My sister Vicki would be here with us. She's at a college rodeo where it's snowing outdoors in Hays, Kansas. She called me before 8 o'clock this morning and said, "Are you ready?" "No, Vicki, I'm not. I wish you was here." But anyway, a special thanks. Kane's not here today. Somebody told me he didn't have a driver's license, so I don't know why he didn't come with me and Rusty. But anyway, Kane, Jade, Melissa, and Rusty, a special thank you. They never ever once complained about me not being there to help get ready for prom, cook a meal, get the yard mowed. When I had to pack up and leave to go to a rodeo, they were behind me all the way. And after I said that, they might have had other plans, but as far as I know, they never complained about me being gone. Thank you to the board. Thank you for this day. I appreciate it.
Dolly, thank you. Okay, I just got to ask, how many of you, when Dolly talked about Benny Butler learning to trick ride, looked at each other and went, "Benny Butler learned to trick ride?" Daryl Barron will put up $20 if you want to do it again, Benny, just saying. Oh, he says 50. I'm adding another 52. The next nominee, or the next inductee, I should say, in our rodeo personnel category has, just like Dolly, been everywhere, done everything in this rodeo business. Started at the age of 8 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vannie Halliday.
Vannie Halliday's rodeo career started at the young age of 8, working for his father, who was employed by Dick Ratchin, producing rodeos in the Texas Panhandle and eastern New Mexico. In 1972, the Halliday family bought that rodeo company and formed the Halliday Rodeo Company, producing youth and amateur rodeos in Texas and New Mexico. Vannie has worked all facets of rodeo, from rodeo production to being a contestant in bareback riding, tie-down roping, and team roping. At 18, Vannie started working for the legendary Harry Vold Rodeo Company and was a member of his crew for almost 20 years, working as a pickup man, flank man, and timed event shoot boss. He then continued working in the same capacity for the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame members and stock contractors Bad Company Rodeo, Terry Walls Rodeo Company, and Mike Servey Rodeo. His career includes working his first NFR in 1975 in Oklahoma City to many times in Las Vegas, as well as major rodeos in Texas and national PRCA rodeos. In 2005, he was named top stock foreman for the Extreme Bull Riding Tour. Please welcome Vannie Halliday.
Vannie, it's all yours.
Well, it's a little bright up here. I was going to ask Daryl to talk to me, but we only have 3 minutes to talk up here, so I can't do that. I've been pretty blessed in my life. I got 4 great kids, a lovely wife, and a lot of good friends sitting out here in front of me today. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for certain people in my life like Terry Walls, and a lady I really love a lot, Claire Siedemann. Claire has always been there for us, and everybody knows that. If you needed a ride to the airport, she'd take you. She'd haul you everywhere. But I'm very blessed, and I'm very thankful to Daryl in the hall and my great friend Goose, who nominated me here. Thank you.
Vannie, thank you. By the way, Daryl says the silent auction is closed. Check your bid numbers, and thank you all for participating. We've got one more auction item coming up after we introduce one more live auction item after we introduce a couple more contestants. Ladies and gentlemen, our next category, women's contestants. And the lady that I'd like you to meet, Trina Powers Hadley. Let's go to the video.
Trina Powers Hadley was born March 5, 1963, and raised in Sonora, Texas, in a rodeo environment. Her father, Lewis, was a founding turtle member, the association that's now known as the PRCA. Lewis was also an inductee to the Texas Rodeo Hall of Fame in Pecos, Texas. Trina's husband of 32 years, Jim Hadley, is a PRCA Gold Card member and Mountain States calf roping champion. They have 2 children, daughter Shiloh Knapp, and their son Shane Hadley is a PRCA steer wrestler. Trina won her first all-around title at the age of 8. She competed successfully in Texas High School Rodeo, was a reserve all-around AJRA World Champion, and named Miss Congeniality in the Texas High School Rodeo Queen Contest. As a professional, she qualified 4 times for the Women's National Finals Rodeo, and she still competes in World Series of Team Roping events today. After ranching in Wyoming for many years, Trina and Jim moved back to Texas. Trina is a cancer survivor. She's so proud of the Tough Enough to Wear pink awareness, and thanks God for making her a cowgirl and for being blessed by so many as a direct result of the rodeo world. Please welcome Trina Shane Powers Hadley to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to introduce Trina to you right now.
I'm so humbled. Aw, thank you so much. I'm extremely humbled to be here, and I thank you for letting me take this opportunity to share my heart with you guys. I want to thank everyone involved with the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. To be honored in something that you hold so dear to your heart and you love, it's a blessing almost indescribable. But I'd personally like to express my gratitude to each of you for coming today to help us all celebrate. Heartfelt thanks to my family and to my friends, and a special appreciation to all the wonderful people involved with this historic organization. My hope is that they know that their hard work does not go unnoticed, nor does the talent that surrounds me today. Some are my dear friends that I love and admire. All have the abilities that we hold in the most highest and with most respect, most immensely in our sport. And it is a great honor to share this day with him. A special thanks goes out to Tina Hodge, believing that I deserve this nomination. I'm truly grateful for the amazing family and friends that God has graced with me to have beside me, for without them, no accomplishments would ever be possible. Now, on the walls of the Coliseum, rich with history, they hang so many plaques of numerous members of my entire childhood and lifelong friendships. All have provided me the guidance and the encouragement in and out of the arena. So being included with this amazing group, saddled with such rodeo tradition, is something I will always hold in high regard. Humbled, knowing how blessed I was to be mentored by the very ones responsible for any woman being here today. So I treasure this moment, proudly thanking God for allowing me to be a part of this culture, a culture where I was fortunate to raise both my children with their father, my husband of almost 33 blessed years, PRCA Gold card holder and champion Mountain States calf roper, the legendary Jim Hadley. Sharing the heritage and ranching experiences was our greatest joy, and with our greatest joy and gifts and blessing was our daughter Shiloh and our son Shane, and it has been wonderful doing all the work, mostly horseback. That was priceless experiences that no doubt teach the complete responsibility and care of the land that's only seen through that Western lens and the majesty of our animals. Rodeo is a celebration of those amazing animals we're blessed to work with, and it was a tremendous source of pride to be born into the Powers family and this rodeo world. I thank all of them for the wonderful start, and I truly appreciate the Hadley family along with all the horses that they raise that I've been able to compete and win on. I love this sport more than any, and I will always believe that it is America's #1 sport. For the respect that I have for our athletes is immense, and coming from those that not only competed but also produced. As a past director, I know of the hard work and the dedication it takes to have a stellar event with great personnel, stock, and ground. My family and our cowgirl matriarchs and heroes like Blanche Altizer Smith and Minnie Altizer and Ora Riggs, Wanda Bush, Mildred Ferris. They made me more aware in some scenarios, if you want to compete and grow your sport, then you'll have to give back and produce and serve. And serve like Clarice Hedeman did to any rodeo kid coming through her house. Most likely, it was with a plate full of wisdom that was earned, and I guarantee you the side of sarcasm that came with it was also deserved. All of those women, they're strong cowgirls, giving back to their sport. And when I qualified, probably about 23 years ago, one year for the Women's National Finals Rodeo and the team roping here in Fort Worth, it was the 50th anniversary. I sat in that luncheon humbled beyond compare at those women that recalled the epitome of sacrifice, of flanking and bucking their own barrel horses for stock to compete on. That's cowgirl tough right there. Now, thankfully, we've come a long way in our added money and our huge productions now blessing women's events. For the betterment of the sport, I'm one that's truly grateful to see it. Back in my early days, I remember running barrels in LeMay outfits no Texas child in the summer should ever have to wear. But the flash and the show, it was the completeness that we were taught to put on for the betterment of rodeo, to gain fans, and it's something we're still striving to accomplish. It's a sport where you saddle up anyway without fear of defeat, and where my peers, they were the women that forged through the $100 added jackpots and drove hundreds of miles, believing it was worth it to pursue their dreams of riding and roping and compete beyond the traditional featured barrel racing world after college, now bridging the gap to some of the professional sexes we are seeing today. I give credit to any and all that have served that cause. Come on, Shelley Mowry, talk to me. Even though I have always loved all the timed events and worked all of them, my true love is healing. And it isn't easy being a left-handed roper, but there's not much about our sport that is easy. I believe that cowgirl grit and rodeo heritage, coupled with my faith in Jesus Christ, is what enabled me to overcome cancer, now twice, and be a survivor. Thank you. Thank you. It's growing up in a sport where you try hard and then you try harder. It's spurred on from unshakable faith. And rodeo taught us to be that blessing to others, to help your fiercest competitor try to beat you. What other sport can brag on that kind of sportsmanship? Most likely, it's because our contestants, we're not afraid to give Jesus the glory without fear of reprisal, not to mention our reliance on that faith, because we all take risk in every event of our sport, at every practice or competition. It's a belief unhindered by the outside influence that makes the fearlessness in our sport so prevalent. The strength and the fortitude to fight with assurance, knowing that God has us like He does every day we ride into the arena or nod our heads. It's been said that the friends are the family that you choose. I think when your choice is to rope and ride, that God blesses you with you and our sport, with an extended family across this nation, and especially across the great state of Texas, that no one can actually deny. Help available to anyone, day or night, that's ready to be the best people in and shining brightly in and out of the arena. And constantly, they know by no bounds when it comes to supporting their rodeo own. So no matter which event you work or in which position or personnel duty you hold, I look around this room and I know that I'm blessed only by the direct actions and love to me and my family through this group that we've been fortunate enough to call our extended rodeo family. It's tangibly the people from our rodeo world who stepped up during the best and during the most difficult of times. The list is long and many sit in attendance today. I love and thank them all, and it is my hope that the Western world will continue to remind the rest to be a blessing, to applaud our cowboys and cowgirls out there exemplifying that fearless pursuit of excellence. And speaking of excellence, I got to give a shout out to Gigi's finest, my grandkids, Payson, Aiden, and Kaisley, along with my daughter Shiloh and son-in-law Andrew, who are unable to be here today as they cautiously await another blessing of our fourth grandbaby on the way. So I know that they would join me and the family here in saying to all of you that thanks will never cover it, but acknowledging that thanks will never be expected. That's the cowboy way. God bless you all.
Trina, thank you. As I listen to Trina, as I get ready to introduce the next lady, I just want you all to think about something. The two cowgirls we're talking about this afternoon are two ladies who have helped to lay the foundation. I don't know if y'all have noticed, but women in rodeo right now are probably competing just sheerly for money, for more money than they've ever been able to, any ladies have ever been able to, and I think these ladies are part of the foundation for that. Ladies and gentlemen, the next of our two ladies that we recognize this afternoon on a contestant side, Nancy Galt-Mays.
Nancy Mays' horse career didn't start like most rodeo cowboys or cowgirls. Her parents were dairy farmers, and they had no interest in horses. But she wanted to be a cowgirl from the first time she saw a horse, and finally got that first horse at the age of 9. Her equestrian knowledge came mostly from trial and error. She learned by watching and emulating the techniques of her friends. Nancy worked hard and managed to qualify for the 1965 National High School Finals in breakaway roping. With the help of Wanda Bush, Nancy got on the path to winning, and in 1979 she purchased a nice horse and won the Texas Barrel Racing Association Finals that year. By 1983, she had joined the WPRA and qualified for the NFR that same year. Nancy raised and traveled with two very successful rodeo kids, Jim Bob, who qualified for the NFR 2 times in tie-down roping, and Mitzi, who qualified 4 times for the National High School Finals in barrel racing, breakaway roping, and goat tying. Mitzi also competed 3 years at the National College Finals. Nancy continues to rodeo with the Texas Senior Pro Rodeo Association, running barrels and roping. She's had great success, including the 2012 TSPRA Barrel Racing Championship. Today, she still raises and trains barrel racing and pole bending horses. Please welcome Nancy Mays to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee, Nancy Mays.
Well, it looks like they've said everything I was going to say. But I do want to give credit to a few people, mainly Wanda Bush in the early 70s. She began to have barrel racing clinics in our area. And while I had learned to rope a little and had a little success in the roping, my barrel racing skills were pretty much in the toilet. So I thought maybe it'd be better if I visited with her. And that's where I learned the technique of soft, quick hands, a thing that she was most adamant about. I had no idea it was that hard to learn. But at any rate, she continued to help me. I went to every clinic I could get to, and she continued to help me after she quit having clinics and let me come to her house. And when she could no longer ride, she'd get in the truck and come to the arena and help me there. So I don't want to forget her. My family has been a big part of what I do. I got to mention my husband of 53 years. He was an up-and-coming calf roper when I met him, and I thought that would work real good into my plan because I need a little help with my roping. And but he informed me a little bit into the relationship that he'd only been roping about a year, and before that, he'd never even sat on a horse. So I thought I was kind of in trouble. Although he brought with him a special knack, and I don't know where he got it from, but he had a knack for picking out a horse that didn't look too good, probably poor, and it was one no one else would pick. But he could figure out that that horse was going to make a good horse. I remember one time he went to a rodeo, came home, and started telling me about a horse that he had seen. He said it was for sale. It was a barrel horse, and he said, "I think you ought to go try that horse." I said, well, okay, so what is he? And he told me. Then he told me how much he was, and I thought, I don't think so, so I kind of blew him off. Well, he kept on talking about him, and he said, you know, I really think you ought to go try that horse. So, okay, off we went. Well, when we got there, I was so surprised. This horse was very poor, had long, dead hair. He was pigeon-toed. They'd roached his mane, so because he was poor, he looked like he had a terrible ewe-neck. And he had a head thin enough he could probably drink out of a Coke bottle. But when I walked up to him and that horse turned his head and looked at me, he had the biggest brown eye that just seemed to be calling my name. So we brought him home. I rode him for a while, and it wasn't very long before the bank and I owned that horse. I had a lot of memories about that horse. But the two most important things I remember is that I won the first rodeo I took him to. And a few years later, he was my dance partner at the big party in Oklahoma City. And I got to tell you that life wouldn't be the same without my two kids and their kids, Jim Bob and Mitzi. They showed interest from a very young age in rodeo, and I had all this vast knowledge that I could hardly wait to share with them. So I taught them everything I know, but I assure you I did not teach them everything they know. So they still allow me to give them some advice from time to time, but pretty much I think they think I'm messing with them now. And lastly, I want to thank a good and gracious God who steps up in the saddle with me every day and keeps me from harm.
He also reminds me that I'm getting to hold this special award, but it has nothing to do with me. It has to do with everybody here and all the people who have passed through my life. Thank you again for this special award. God bless you, and God bless America.
All right, we've got a few more Cowboys that we're going to introduce you to in just a moment. Somebody lost a phone. Oh, you got it? You got it handled? It was over by the bar, and Daryl somehow or another found the person at the bar that lost the phone. Oh, you called somebody who called somebody. Yeah. There's a story. I know we're getting late, and I don't want to take too long. Daryl and I were at a rodeo together one time. And it was a rodeo. We didn't realize it when we got to town. The committee was undergoing a bit of turmoil. Is that a good word to use to describe it? They were all arguing with each other big time. We got done with 2 performances of the rodeo. Come time to, normally at that point you're getting paid. I was the announcer. Daryl was the shoot boss. And they didn't say, go around the corner to get paid. They said, go around the corner, we'll take care of you. All the arena lights at that point were off. We didn't know anybody was. We walk around the corner. The only light we see in this parking lot at this rodeo arena is the dome light of a car. And I looked at Daryl. I said, what do you think's fixing to happen here? He said, I don't know. I said, you know what? In the movies, either one or both of us is going to get it, so you go first. Turned out they were paying cash out of that car, but it was the weirdest story I've ever. Benny, you ever done anything like that? No. Yeah, right. We all have at some point. Ladies and gentlemen, we got one more auction item, and then we'd like to introduce our Cowboy inductees. Todd, it's all yours.
All right, here we go. We've got one more. This is the last item. I'm going to take my victory lap, so let's make it the very best one. This is bodacious. There is no other bodacious like this ever going to be made, ever in the history of the world. Mr. Casey McClung has made his last one. This carries the brand J31 on it, and this, like bodacious, has quite a history. Barron tried to ride it, so it's got 1 mount, 0 rides, though, okay? Daryl's still recovering from it. This is truly an amazing little item. It's got a certificate of authenticity to it, and it truly is never going to be another one like it. Never have to feed him. Might not hook you. Might not knock anybody's teeth out. I'm going to say might to all that, because if I had this as a kid, I promise I'd have had to go to the hospital after riding it a little bit. As I look around this audience tonight, I don't have to look past the front row. I can look in the back, and I see it full of the next generation. I see young families here, young couples here. I promise you this is a great way to get them started with the love of rodeo that they'll carry for the rest of their lives. It's better than a TV, and I promise you what? This is something you have good family fun. Nobody ever took a movie of somebody watching TV and anybody said, let me see it. Daryl, I think we ought to start it at about $15,000, but we're going to come down. We are going to start it at $500. $500 now, dollar now, $500 now, $600. $600 now, $700 now, $700 now, $700, $700 now, $7. Talk loud, $700 now, $7. I'm 6 over here. I need 7. We're just getting started. 7. Now $7.5. $750 now, $800. $800 now, $8.5. $850 now, $50. $8.5. $8.5 now, $900. $900. $900. $1,000, now $1,100, ma'am. $1,100, now $12. $1,200, now $12. $1,200, now $13. $1,300, now $14. $14, now $1,500. Now $1,600. $1,600, now $17. Back to you. $1,700. It's just $100 from $16. $1,700, now $18. Now $19. $1,900, now dollar now $19. $1,900. $19. $19. I can help you more than she can. 1,900, 19, please. You want me to cut it in half? 1,850. Let's go, $1,900. 19, now 19 and a half. See, I could have got it. We could have done it cheaper. 19 and a half. Keep going. Let's keep going. 19 and a half. 19 and a half. 19 and a half. We need to get there. Come on, 1950, 19 and a half. 19 and a half. 19 and a half. Oh, come on now, 19 and a half. I've got 1,900. I'm 19 and a half. No, this is never going to be made again. 19 and a half, $2,000. 2,000, now $2,100. $2,100, now 21, now 2. $2,200, now 22, now 3. $2,300, now 23, now 4. Back to you. $2,400, now 24. 24, now 5 to you, sir. $2,500, now 6. $2,600, now 26, 6, 6. $2,600, now 7. Back to you. Come on, we both have hats. We both have beards. We're basically brothers. $2,700, now 27, 7. $2,700, 26 in the back. I've got you at 26. $2,700, we're going to go. $2,700, 2,700. All in, all done, sold it $2,600 to this nice lady in the back. What's your buyer number? Honey, I can't see my paper in front of my face. What's this?
Monty Taylor.
Monty Taylor. 360. Karen Moore. Miss Moore, thank you so much. For all of those of you who participated in the auction, it was a true pleasure to serve you today. Thank you so much.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, our last category of inductees is the men's contestants. And I'd like to start, we just sold a replica of Bodacious. I'd like to start with a man who's both the bull riding qualifier to the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo and to the PBR World Finals. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Roy Doyle on video right now.
Roy Doyle was born in Amarillo, but raised most of his life in the East Texas town of Pittsburgh. He's a third-generation rancher and rodeo cowboy. Roy says he was blessed to be influenced by some of the greats like George Paul, Larry Mahan, Nicky Wheeler, and his dad, Red Doyle. Roy's career has major accomplishments from the college ranks to the PRCA to PBR. Roy is a two-time reserve college champion. In 1993, he was the Texas Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association Rookie of the Year and Finals champion. Roy qualified for the Texas Circuit Finals 7 times, winning the Texas Circuit title in 1996. He won the George Paul Memorial in 1994 and made 3 trips to the National Finals Rodeo, where he won 4 rounds, including round 10 in 1996 on the Bull of the Year, Red Wolf. He wrapped up his career with 5 trips to the PBR World Finals. After retiring in 2005, Roy became a PRCA, PBR, and ABBI official. He was a 14-time ABBI Finals judge and 2 times a PBR Finals judge, and still very active today as an official.
Looking at that video, Roy, you haven't aged a bit, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, Roy Doyle.
This is one of the first time that the bull riders got to go before the bareback riders, so we're really excited about this. We're usually working while y'all are at the beer stand, so nothing's changed, obviously. I do want to thank the Hall for an opportunity to be an inductee, and I want to thank all the inductees that got nominated except Bodacious. But one of my greatest achievements as a bull rider is I never drew him, so, you know, congratulations to Sammy on their bull. Matt Austin, one of the best bull riders in the world, he's coming up later. The rodeo, the coolest part about being a bull rider growing up in my house, I envy George Paul, Donnie Gay, you know, the greats from the early days, but my dad was my biggest hero, and I got to live every day right beside him growing up, learn how to get on bulls. When I decided to be a bull rider, he built a chute. We got bulls from a guy down the road named Bubba Parrish. You know, I had some great friends, Clint Ford, Jack Mize, Gary Robson. They all came and got on bulls. They helped me when I was on my permit, or I helped them. I will say there was times that I may have to give my day money check to one of those guys to pay their fees, but that's what friends do, you know. And I made the finals because guys like that pushed me to be good enough to make the finals. My dad was my hero. One of the coolest parts about this whole deal is I get to be in the Hall of Fame with my dad. I know a lot of guys can't say that, but that's a pretty crowning moment for me. I want to thank my wife more than anybody, all the miles she drove, all the cows she fed in the cold and the snow when I was in Denver, Fort Worth, putting up with me and the two kids that we've raised, Rance Doyle, Sierra Doyle. They're both into the rodeo like you can imagine. They don't know anything else. They're both smart like their mom. They're both talented like their mom, and they're both hard-headed like their dad. So they'll get by. I want to thank the good Lord for giving me the talent and the ability to be around all these folks. I love rodeo. I'm still involved in rodeo. Crazy story is I'm judging the PBR in Oklahoma City tonight, so I'm going to have to make this pretty short because we got to go. But I want to thank everybody for coming out, and I want to congratulate the guys that's after me. Sorry I can't stay, but you bareback riders, y'all are used to doing your own thing without us anyway, so thank you guys.
Congratulations. Our next inductee was the Steer Wrestling Rookie of the Year, Texas Circuit Finals Rodeo Qualifier. Ladies and gentlemen, to the big screen, I'd like you to meet Leonard Fluitt. Excuse me, let's do that a different way. Whoop. Yeah, I got him out of order. I'm sorry. I do that a lot on TV. I just have a producer in my ear screaming at me when I do it. Leonard is coming up, but before we go to Leonard, I'd like you to meet Casey McGlawn.
Casey McGlawn's rodeo career began with a calf riding win in Earth, Texas at the age of 7. In high school, he qualified for the North Texas High School Rodeo Association Finals in calf roping, bareback riding, and bull riding, winning the average in bareback riding. He also qualified for the Texas High School Rodeo Finals and the American Junior Rodeo Finals in bareback riding and bull riding. In 1984, Casey was the PRCA Texas Circuit Rookie of the Year for all-around and bull riding, as well as a runner-up for the PRCA Bull Riding Rookie of the Year honors. He qualified for the Texas Circuit Finals and finished in the top 20 of the PRCA bull riding standings that year, powered by a win in San Antonio. He was a consistent money winner at many of the PRCA's top 25 rodeos, including Cheyenne, San Antonio, Houston, Kansas City, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Albuquerque. In later years, Casey once again picked up his rope and began training calf roping horses, several of which carried top competitors to the pay window. Casey qualified for the New Mexico Rodeo Association Finals in calf roping 3 times, winning 2 go-arounds in the average in 2005. Please welcome Casey McGlawn.
Got him in the right order. Casey McGlawn, welcome to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame.
Thank y'all. I'd like to start by thanking the Hall and the board members, the selection committee, and all the people that voted for me. And this is a little, I've heard others talk about being nervous up here. Well, that old proverbial story about the Chihuahua and the peach seed sure comes to mind here. But anyway, I just wanted to keep it short. I just want to say that all I ever wanted to do was rodeo, and all I ever wanted to be was a rodeo cowboy. But then one day, this little Palomino filly just kind of galloped right into my life, and all of a sudden, my priorities changed. And if you look at our table over there and the family that she's given me, and the fact that y'all honor me with this today, and if you go over there and see how smoking hot she still is, This is proof that sometimes you can have your cake and eat it too. Thank y'all.
Gentlemen, every one of us is going to have to work a little harder now to live up to that right there. I'm just saying. Casey, congratulations. The next man is a world champion. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to go to the big screen and introduce you to Matt Austin.
Matt Austin grew up with one goal, becoming a world champion bull rider. With a grandfather, a father, and an uncle who all participated in rodeo, it was no surprise that he chose that path. Matt was successful at every level. He was a youth bull riding champion and a national college champion. But when he turned pro, he set the world on fire. It started with being the PRCA Bull Riding Rookie of the Year in 2003. But in 2005, he had one of the most dominant bull riding seasons in the sport's history. Austin won Cheyenne, the Extreme Bull Styler, the NFR Average, and the PRCA World Championship. He was also the Championship Bull Riding World Champion that year as well, and he followed that up in 2006 with another CBR World title. Nicknamed Poindexter by 8-time World Champion Donnie Gay because of his tall, thin stature and his glasses. Matt now lives in Central Texas with his wife Christina and their 3 children. Please welcome Matt Austin.
Three times a Wrangler National finalist, ladies and gentlemen. Please say hello, if you would, to Matt Austin.
My wife's right here, and she's hot, too. You know, before I wrote a 2-page speech, and before I read it, you know, I was just thinking about some stories, and you know, and I was looking at this paper earlier, and I remember in high school, you know, if it wasn't for rodeo and bull riding, you know, I probably would have been pretty worthless, because I think the only reason I passed high school and stuff because I had to keep my grades up, and that gave me something to work for. But I remember Dad, you know, he always had bulls and arenas there in the backyard, and then he built a big arena there in Myrtle Springs, and every Monday night we had a buck out, and I mean, we'd start at 7 o'clock, and we wouldn't, I mean, I wouldn't get in bed till 4 in the morning. And Tuesday morning was my English, that was the first class of the day. And I'd always go to sleep in there, and my English teacher woke me up one day and she said, "Mr. Austin, I want to know what it is that you do on Monday nights that you're so tired that you think you ought to take a nap." I said, "Well," I said, "I ride bulls." I said, I'm going to be a world champion." And she said, "Oh, you ain't never going to be anything in no bull riding or no rodeo." And I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "Well, you need to learn this stuff and all this." And I said, "Man, with all due respect," I said, "all I need to learn how to do is count my money." And make a long story short, she asked me after that, she said, "Okay, well, say you do become a world champion bull rider, what are you going to do then?" I said, "Well, I'm probably going to buy me a feed store, set out on the front, dip snuff, and sign autographs for everybody that comes by." But, you know, what an honor it is to be standing here today and be inducted to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. This is truly something you can only dream about as a kid, growing up, you know, wanting to be a world champion bull rider. You put in the work and the time and the effort, and you don't know if it'll happen, but when it does, it's a dream come true. And being here today to be put into a group with the greatest cowboys who ever lived is a feeling that I can't even begin to explain. First of all, I'd like to thank God for giving me the ability and the talent and blessing me with a great career and life, and for opening up endless possibilities for me. You know, I lost my thoughts here. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all that she does for us, for the kids, she carries a load that, you know, I can't even begin to explain. Takes care of our kids, and know why I'm at work. And being a mom, that's a pretty full-time job. You know, it's a harder job than riding bulls. I know that. You know, I want to thank my dad for you know, always hauled me around as a kid, and countless bucking barrels and bucking pens that we built. And, you know, Dad we practiced bulls. He was the rope puller, the gate man, the clown. He was it all, and I was just a rider. And we would get on there so many nights. It was just me and Dad, and we'd be out there for hours on end. That's all I ever wanted to be and do. I want to thank my mom, you know, my biggest fan, cheerleader, you know, supports us kids, and it's always been there for us. I love you, Mom. Thank you for everything. I want to thank my biggest fan, my Nana, this good-looking grandma right here, you know, for every newspaper article you saved and all the scrapbooks you put together, and just being my Nana. You know, there's so many people that have been influential in my career and in my life, and I can't thank everybody enough, and I can't name everybody, but you know who you are. Bandy Starks, Tim Ross, Andy Taylor, you know, you guys have been so influential in my life, and you know, I can't really express and put into words how I feel today. You know, I can't give enough credit to my parents, and you know, my dad. You know, I know I probably drove him crazy a bunch, because that's all I wanted to do is ride bulls, and he'd be out of town working, and you know, we'd go to the sale barn. I'm gonna tell this one story before I close up. We went to the sale barn. You know, Dad put me on some steers, and we went to the sale barn, and he bought this Holstein bull. I thought he'd bought this big 2,200-pound black bull that went before. You know, I was a kid at the time, and he's like, I was like, well, how big is he, Dad? You know, I'm questioning. Well, it turns out is that Holstein. We took him up there to the Wills Point Arena, and that's right when 8 seconds had come out too, and Dad, he just gets on him with a flank rope and tennis shoes and this old Holstein bull. I mean, he just jumped and kicks, but I was still a little kid at the time, and Dad run him back in there, and I was going to get on him, and I went to crying. I was scared. And, you know, my dad, he told me, he said, and that's, like I say, that's when 8 seconds had just come out. He said, cowboy up. And I got on that Holstein bull, and I don't know if you've ever been to the Wills Point Arena. It's pretty long. And I rode that bull all the way down to the other end to the rope and shoot. And he got to the rope and shoot, and that bull just stopped. And my dad seen it coming. I hear him holler, no! And, you know, I didn't know how to get off, so I just slid off on the side of that old Holstein bull. My hand was still in the rope. And that old Holstein bull, it was just like something you see on a cartoon. He just kind of turns and looks at me and kind of does this, and here we go to bucking again and dragging all the way down the pen. But Dad, I put Dad in many wrecks in my life, and especially hanging up. But you know, once again, I want to thank the Hall for this opportunity. I want to thank everybody here. You know, I especially want to thank all the fans of rodeo over the years, because if it wasn't for the fans, you know, we really wouldn't be where we are today. So, you know, I love each and every one of you, and everybody that believed I deserved to be in here. Thank y'all. To all my family, to all my friends, I love y'all with all my heart. Everybody here, I love y'all. God bless.
Just want to remind you, in 2005, Matt won that gold buckle. He won $320,000 that year. That's a record that stood until 2017 or 2018. I forget which. Sage Kimsey broke it. But the added money at the NFR wasn't quite in 2005 what it was in 2017, 2018. Pretty remarkable accomplishment. All right, now that we got everybody back in the right order, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to have the opportunity to meet the next inductee into our Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame, Mr. Leonard Fluitt.
Leonard Fluitt was raised in Poteet, Texas, where he began his rodeo career at age 4. His family was a charter member of the Texas Youth Rodeo Cowboys Association. He competed in showmanship, bareback riding, calf roping, ribbon roping, team roping, and in steer wrestling. In 1972, he was awarded the TYRA Sportsmanship Award. Leonard continued his rodeo career on the Tarleton State University rodeo team in 1975, 76, and 77, where he competed in steer wrestling. In 1979, he got his PRCA card and had instant success in San Antonio and Houston. That year, he placed in enough rodeos to win the PRCA Steer Wrestling Rookie of the Year. He also qualified for the Texas Circuit Finals in 1979, 80, and 82. During a long and successful career, Leonard placed in major rodeos all across the country, but was particularly tough in the Lone Star State. Leonard Fluitt retired in 1991. He currently holds a PRCA Gold card he's very proud of, and he cherishes the many lifelong friends that he met during his rodeo career. Please welcome Leonard Fluitt.
Representing Leonard is his wife, Lori.
I'm short, so I have to move these where you can hear me. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to thank the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame for Leonard's induction in 2020. I would personally like to thank our dear friends, Rhonda May and Mike Hudson, for coming down to South Texas last year in November to present Leonard with his plaque, buckle, and medallion before his passing. Family members Kathy and Lloyd Hodges, Dawn Tripp, and Doug Hanover were also present that day. I'm sure those of you that knew Leonard were well aware that this induction meant the world to him. Leonard and I met back in the early 2000s, and our love for cattle and the ranching way of life brought us together. We continued raising cattle, going to rodeos, bull ridings, and our Christmas present to each other was going to Vegas to the finals every year, something we look forward to. I can't even begin to tell you how many wonderful friends and acquaintances I have met through the 15 years that Leonard and I were married. Even though he isn't physically with us here today, I know that he is watching down on us, just a smiling and trying to catch up with everyone to tell them hello. Thank you again, and God bless.
Royd had it right. We, in this men's section of the inductions, we kind of started, normally we start the rodeo with the bareback riding and finish it with the bull riding. We're finishing the men's inductions with the bareback riders after starting it with the bull riders. I'd like you to meet a man who's 6 times qualified for the Wrangler National Finals Rodeo. Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee is Jason Jeter.
Jason Jeter started his rodeo career in junior and high school rodeos in North Texas. Jason was the 1990 American Junior Rodeo Association champion bareback rider, and he went on to excel in college rodeo for Sam Houston State University, winning the national championship in 1996. During his career, Jason won major PRCA rodeos including Denver, Cody, Dodge City, Austin, and San Angelo. He qualified for 6 trips to the NFR, and in 2002 was his strongest year. He won the NFR average title and finished as a reserve world champion. He also competed in the 2002 Salt Lake Olympics on Team USA. In 2004, Jason won the PRCA Texas Circuit bareback riding title as well. Please welcome bareback rider Jason Jeter.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Jeter.
Hey, hey, hey. So it's been said a little bit by Royd here. It's interesting. I wonder who's in charge of this program, because I look down it, and we always start with the bareback riding and then with the bull riding, and they save the bareback riders for the last 2 guys of the night. The first 2 guys that are at the beer stand at the beginning of the rodeo are the last 2 guys that they let. So is it closing entertainment? Is that why they did that? Or I feel like Daryl Barron had a part in that. Uh-huh. Good enough. All right, well, first of all, I'd just like to thank the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame for making this possible for all the past inductees and inductees to come to give us a platform to just be honored for something that we did in our career and be part of something that you know that's bigger than what we were. Second, I got to thank my parents, my mom and dad, that without their help, I would have never probably been able to achieve the things that I did without their love and support. Thank you, Mom and Dad. I really appreciate that. You did everything that you could for me. I'd like to thank all the people in this room, the rodeo family. Roy Angermiller talked about it earlier, is that, this rodeo family is, it's different, I think, than a lot of sports. And the fact that people in this room chose all of us that got inducted today to be here and then voted and made it happen is an honor. It's very flattering. It's a very humbling experience, and I want to tell everyone here that I appreciate that. Part of that rodeo family thing is it's funny how rodeo is like, I haven't seen Benny Butler. I quit rodeoing in 2010. I haven't seen Benny Butler since I quit in 2010. I actually quit at Tucson in 2010. And I saw Benny a while ago, and it was like I just saw him yesterday after I got on one of his bad broncs, and he made me look like the Dairy Queen monkey. And then I was walking back up the buck and chutes. He's like, "Hey, you did good, son." And that's what rodeo is all about, is you can see somebody you haven't seen in 10 years, and it's like you just left each other yesterday. And that's one of the things that has always been very important to me in rodeo. And with that, I also want to thank a few very special people that I rodeoed with my whole career: Bo Mayo, Kirby Berry, Pete Hawkins, which I'll get to him in a little bit, and John Brockway, who was an inductee here in 2018. Those are the guys that I came up with rodeoing in the same vehicle together, spent all these great times together, and I just want to thank those guys while I'm here in this room. So as far as Pete Hawkins goes, he's coming up here next, and it's funny that he's following me up here because I spent most of my career winning second place to Pete, and I'm glad that I finally got scoreboard on him and can set him up for some things later. All right. Anyway, so I don't really like talking about myself that much. There was a time that was different, but I'm older now and have changed. And so what I'm just going to do is tell a story about Pete and I. I think it's fitting that we were inducted the same year together. We spent the entire part of our career, making the NFR and succeeding in rodeo together. And so I'm just going to tell this funny story about me and Pete, and that's going to be about all I have. So me and Pete always like to have a good time rodeoing, and we would do things that, like, Pete would be like, he's a free spirit guy. He was always like, "Hey man, let's go buy some wine and some steaks, and let's just go find a national park somewhere. We don't have to be at a rodeo for 2 or 3 days, and let's cook out. Let's just like pull our bed mats out and sleep under the stars, and let's have a good time and just do nothing," right? And so we go. We're in Utah, coming from, I don't know, maybe going to Nampa or something, and we go and buy steaks, and we get wine, and we find us a national park on this lake in northeastern Utah, and we're up there, and we cook, and we get all our stuff, and we drink like 2 or 3 bottles of wine, so we're pretty tipsy, and we go to bed. We pull the bed mats out of old Pete's van. They're laying on the ground. We got 2 of them together, and we're laying there. We bundled up all the trash that we had, aluminum cans and everything, and put it on a kitchen table that was probably about from here to this table from our feet. In the middle of the night, I feel Pete shaking me. Like, "What?" He's like, "Bro, you hear that?" I'm listening, and yeah, I hear something rooting around in the plastic. And then all of a sudden, I hear cans falling off the table, aluminum cans, like bean cans and stuff like that. And I was like, "Yeah, I hear that." And it starts getting louder. And it sounds like, finally, here about 30 seconds later, it sounds like there's a steamroller in our camp tearing this trash can apart. And he says, "You think that's a bear?" I was 28. Most of you here that know me know I'm a hunter. So I was 28. Of course, I knew everything there was about hunting. I'm like, "There are no bears here." And he goes, "Bro, we're camped on Bear Lake." And I was like, "Well, it's time. Where's your light?" So we start scooting our bed mats back, and we get back, and he kicks a headlamp. He's got a headlamp that he was always. Pete was really artsy, so he's always drawing in the van and doing stuff like that, you know. And he's got a headlamp that he always had, and he kicks that headlamp on, and there's a skunk right there, about 5 foot. 5 foot. I was like, yeah, that's the steamroller right there. That's the one. So anyway, basically that story goes back to the larger part about this rodeo family and how much this rodeo family has meant to me. Being inducted here today is a very big thing for me, but the biggest thing is that I've got to know most of the people in this room, and all the fine rodeo people that I've known over the years is what I'll take with me forever, and that's the most important thing to me. So thank you all very much for the people that thought that I was worthy to be up here on this stage. Thank you. I appreciate it all. I love you guys. Y'all have a good day.
One to go. Pete Hawkins, how are you going to top that story? Ladies and gentlemen, to the big screen, I'd like you to meet Pistol Pete Hawkins.
Fort Worth native Pete Hawkins, a.k.a. Pistol Pete, came from a rodeo family. He started his rodeo career at age 14, team roping with his dad, Guy Hawkins, a retired bareback rider. It wasn't long before Pete was asking about bareback riding. He got on his first bucking horse a year later at 15, and he was hooked. Though he continued to work both ends of the arena, the bareback riding was always the closest to his heart. Pete had a very successful high school career, winning the Texas state titles in bareback riding and bronc riding in 1991 and 92. He also won a national high school title in bareback riding in 1991. Pete went on to a successful college career, making the collegiate finals in multiple events and also being the part of a national championship men's team. He then went on to the PRCA for a 10-year career from 1994 through 2004. With bareback riding as his main event, Pete still managed to enter and win checks in other events. During his career, he won checks in saddle bronc riding, bull riding, and steer roping. In 2001, he qualified for the Linderman Award, but fell just short of winning the coveted award. Pete won many prestigious rodeos like Fort Worth, San Antonio, Cheyenne twice, Pendleton twice, Reno, Prescott, Pecos. He won 2 Texas Circuit titles and many more. In 6 trips to Las Vegas, Pete was able to set 3 NFR records and win a total of 8 go-arounds. In 1999, he held the arena record with a 90-point ride on Kessler's Great Bronc Icicle. In 1999, he set a record winning 3 straight go-arounds. He set another NFR record for most go-around wins at an NFR with 4. Though Pistol Pete is far from nodding his head anymore in the arena, rodeo is still a big part of his life. He and his wife Brandy raise barrel and calf horses along with 3 kids. He now enjoys being a dad, watching his kids compete, and is blessed that they share the same love for rodeo as he did. Please welcome Pistol Pete Hawkins.
6 times to the NFR 1999 Reserve World Champion Pete Hawkins.
Thank you very much. You know, I see Benny Butler here, and of course Miss Riddle, but I think all of us in the rodeo business know that they usually save the best for last. Isn't that right? All right. And, you know, it's funny, I forgot all about Bear Lake, Jason telling that story, but what was funny is we did that multiple times, and there's often times that I would be like, I wonder what other people think about me and you, 2 men out here drinking wine, having steak dinners and cooking baked potatoes. I wonder what they think about. They probably didn't have any idea that we were professional bareback riders. You know, they probably thought we were lovers. Which we were. I got to say that. We were. I slept with Jason many a times. But I got to say, I've been to this ceremony 2 or 3 times. with past inductees, friends, traveling partners, and it's such an honor to be here today. You know, when you look, when you go to the north side and you go to the Coliseum and you see the plaques on the wall, there's no good cowboys or good cowgirls there. They're all great. And to be able to be listed with them is a true honor that I hold dear to me. You know, at the end of the year, this is kind of the ride in the sunset for me and old Jason and a lot of these people. And to be listed with such great cowboys and cowgirls is a true honor. I want to say today, personally, thanks to the board and everyone that's had anything to do with this week. It's been really special for me and my family. You know, I know there's a lot of things that get done that no one gets a pat on the back for, but I truly appreciate it. I know how hard of a job it is, and I'm really appreciative of it, and I know all these inductees are. Speaking of inductees, I want to congratulate my other inductees. You know, the tables are a little bit not as full as they were when we started, but, you know, that's your loss, the way I see it. I didn't know that I was going to be the last guy because I got to drinking about when I got here. I thought I would be done by now, but I'm about whiskey and 4 Bloody Marys in, so enjoy the show. I got to say thanks to my mom and dad. You know, there's no doubt I want to congratulate both of them, my mom, Jane Stewart, and my dad, Guy Hawkins, on their induction, because there's no doubt that I wouldn't be here without them. My dad was one of my best friends, and we had a lot of great times together. And it's funny, I think about this story. In 1995, I went into my dad's office. It was in 94, I got my card, I filled my permit, but I went in 95, excuse me, I went to Denver, Colorado. I was going to take on the world. I was going to be a world champion. I was going to make the national finals. And I'd had success through high school and college, and everything was really rolling really well. I went to Odessa that year in 95, won 3 or $400. I went to Denver, won the first round. Second round, I placed second and third. Basically, I figured this was some easy stuff, you know. I mean, hell, this is no big deal. And I went on rodeoing the rest of the year with John Brockway and Brian Hawk, who happened to win the average at the finals that year. And we went through the fourth, the spring run in California, the Northwest. We went everywhere. I ended up winning about 9,200 that year. Mind you, I won 35 the first month of the year. So I go into my dad's office pretty beat up, and I had a credit card that no one knew I had. It was maxed out. I had my checking account was overdrawn. My grandfather's name was Pete Hawkins as well, and the bank called him. It was like, "Hey, you're overdrawn," and my grandpa was like, you know, he had lots of money. He's like, you made a mistake, and they said it ended up being their grandson, and that was me. But I went in my dad's office that day, and I just broke down. I was crying. I said, like, yeah, I just can't beat these guys. You know, I mean, I had everything that anybody could ever want. I had a nice van. I had the support. I just couldn't beat them that year. And I was ready to give up. My dad told me, he said, you know what, let's give it one more year. I'll tell you what, we're at the end of the year. Why don't you get you a job, get you a little dose of that working 9 to 5 for a little bit. And when we start the next year, you know, and he always gave me positive tips like, you know, you made the short round at 3 of those pro rodeos, and all them tough guys were there. You know, you're 1-0 hole out here. You're 1-0 hole out here. And it kind of kept me going. And 1996 was the next year, and I made my first NFR that year. So, damn it, Brock, you said I'd cry, but Dad, thanks for not letting me quit. I want to thank my mom, too. You know, all of us cowboys got great mamas, and my mom was a great rodeo mom. She was the kind that she would pack me and my traveling partners some Cokes and some sandwiches and some stuff, even though we were just going to Mineral Wells about 45 minutes away. You never know when the search party's going to get there, you know. So we always had sandwiches and stuff like that. And I'd be in Vegas, and I'd be signing autographs at somewhere, and someone would come up to me, "Oh, I met your mother at the buffet at Rio." Oh, then I'd be next autograph signing, and someone, "Oh, I met your mother in the line to the bathroom," and we just had to. My mom, she was one of those that had the pin of me on her shoulder. She told everybody on the plane ride to Vegas that I was up and where I was signing. But I think a lot of the things, my dad taught me how to ride bucking horses, and that's why I'm standing here today. But my mom taught me a lot of things that helped me get the sponsorships and get me the TV time that I had. And I just want to thank both of you so much for seeing that that bareback riding was what I wanted to do and giving me every opportunity to do it. And congratulations on your 2 induction into the Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. I really loved riding bucking horses, but I loved every aspect of riding of rodeo. I did every event. When I retired, the only event that I hadn't done in professional rodeo was run barrels and rode calves. And about 14 years ago, I think, I might get in trouble for this, but I married Brandy, my beautiful wife, and she happens to be a barrel racer whose dad was a world champion calf roper. So I marked both of those bucks off my list as well. I actually entered the calf roping, and it was a little beginner calf roping, but I won first in the calf roping. And I entered an all-men's barrel race one time. I'm going to say that, and I'd have won that son of a bitch, but I hit the second barrel. And I was last on the ground. See where I'm at here. I think them Bloody Marys are kicking in. Speaking of sponsors, I had some great sponsors in my career. I'll be honest. I had Justin Baron Boots, Tony Lama, Cinch, Wrangler, and U.S. Smokeless Tobacco, Copenhagen Skull. And as a matter of fact, one time I was doing a deal for the media for the PRCA, and they were like, "Hey, you and one other guy are the only guys that are sponsored by all 3 major sponsors for the professional rodeo." To me, that was over my head. Who cares? But, now that I think back of it, that's a true honor to represent PRC. The other guy's name he was a Brazilian guy from all around. I can't think of his name. I think it was Trevor Brazil, something like that. Anyway, y'all might have heard of him. But he had the same 3 sponsors as old Pistol Pete. Last thing I want to talk about is, the old adage is, and it rings true, that you cannot soar with eagles if you're flying around with a bunch of buzzards. And that holds so true in rodeo. And I've had some great traveling partners throughout my career, such as Chris Harris, Darren Clark, Trey Fisher, Chad Klein. But I had 4 guys that really were important in your steps in rodeo. You kind of got to know where to start, where to go, and keep moving. But the first guy I want to mention is Bo Mayo. Bo Mayo taught me that you can go to 9 rodeos in 3 days. And start in Texas and go to Iowa, South Dakota, and end in Wyoming. But through those times of rodeoing, I really realized that, hey, this is what I want to do. I'll tell you what, if I've got to ride better, if I've got to work out, if I've got to work at home, get a job, whatever I got to do, I want to keep doing this. And Bo, you made me a bareback rider, and I love you. The second guy is Kirby Berry. Kirby was, out of all the guys that I mentioned, he was the guy that was always my brother. If I couldn't win first, I wanted Kirby to win first. That's just the way it was. Bob Tallman said it first. My dad sent me, he would say this when me and Kirby were up together. He'd say, Guy Hawkins sent his son to Vernon Regional Junior College to come back with a degree, and he came back with Kirby Berry. And that's about all I came back with from Vernon was Kirby. But Kirby was always my older brother. like I said, I always wanted, if I couldn't win first, I always wanted Kirby to win first. If not, I wanted him to win second. But I love you, Kirby, and you made me a better bareback rider. Second guy on my list is Jason Jeter, who just came up here, which I want to thank everybody at the Hall of Fame for this honor, because now for the rest of my freaking life, I got to hear about how Jason got into the Hall of Fame 10 minutes before I did. You know what I mean? I'll never live that down, but you know, it's a really special thing about me and Jason is we've literally competed against each other. I pulled Jason's rigging at the high school finals, Texas high school finals. I pulled his rigging at the national high school finals, the amateur finals, and on to the NFR. And so it's a really special relationship that me and him have had. Like I said, we were lovers on the trail. And it was great to share your dreams and all your dreams coming true with your best friends. And that's one thing that us in the rodeo business we get to do is share the great times with your best friends. And Jason, I love you, and you made me a better bareback rider. Last guy on my list is John Brockway. He was a 2019 inductee, and he's the grouchiest son of a buck you've ever met in your life. And I'm gonna tell you this. John is he's helped a lot of young Texas bareback riders that ended up making the finals that rodeoed with him. And but John gave me some really great advice. You know, it's a funny thing. My dad told me when I got out of high school, you know, son, you need to find a guy that's been around, that's rodeoed, that's won some money, knows how to enter, blah 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 blah. Well, I see old Brockway, he's winning all the circuit rodeos around here, so I go up to John at Austin. And at this time, I rode saddle broncs and barebacks at the same time, and I was entered in the bearers and broncs that night. And I went up to Brock and was, you know, Mr. Brockway, my name's Pete Hawkins, and, you know, I was thinking about rodeoing next year in the bareback ride, and I was thinking maybe I could enter with you. And Brock looked at me, honest to God, and said, "Weren't you entered in the bronc riding?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I was entering the bronc riding too, but next year I want to really, you know, concentrate on riding bareback horses and enter all the big roads." He's like, "Well, you sure ought to enter the bronc riding, son." That's what he told me. And I'm glad I didn't listen to Brock. I stuck with the bareback riding. But another funny thing about Brock, it really changed my focus as far as the way when I came to riding bareback horse, I just wanted to do the best that I could do. I wanted to ride the best I could do. And we were going to Davie, Florida one time, and I was always a young guy. I was always in Brock's ear. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to mention again, is he's a grouchy son of a buck. And I'm like, "Brock, you know, how can I get better? What do I do this? What do I do this?" And Brock looked at me after about probably 150 miles of me asking questions. He said, "Pete, it's a effing spurring contest. The effing guy that spurs the best usually effing wins." And from that day on, I realized that, you know, it wasn't just about riding good. There was a competition to this. And that the other guys that were entered were trying to beat me. And from that point on, I decided that there was no son of a buck that was going to nod their head in the perf that I was at that was going to spur faster, harder, or wilder than Pistol Pete. And Brockway, I love you. You made me a better bareback rider. Thank you. You know, like I said, everybody else cut it kind of quick, so I'm going to go on a little bit. But I got one more story I want to tell you, and I've fallen back on this experience in my life many a times throughout my life, and I just want to tell you, I'm not tooting my own horn here, but I just want everybody to know that there's something else out there. And what I'm getting at is one year at the national finals, they had a horse in the pen that I didn't want in the pen. For y'all that don't know, they bucked the same horse another time. So he come back around. I didn't want him in there. Sure enough, I griped and bitched about it. And sure enough, guess who drew that horse? Me. And ended up, I was 73 or 4 points. And anyway, it took me way back out of the average. And it was the 7th round, and it upset me so much that the 8th round, the 9th round, and the 10th round, where I should have won money and had the opportunity to win money, I was still focused on the 7th round when I didn't get my way. And so, make a long story short, the finals is over. I'm mad and pissed. And before the steer rope, the steer wrestling starts, I've already got my bag. I'm heading up the alleyway out of the Thomas and Mack, going up the hill. Got my rigging bag on. I'm still taking the tape off my arm. Upset because I didn't have the outcome of the week that I wanted. And there were 2 Indian boys up at the very top, and they were like, Pistol Pete, Pistol Pete. And I look up, and I'm like, hey, I go up there, and these 2 Indian boys tell me that instead of taking their senior trip with everybody else to the beach, they asked their parents to go to the National Finals Rodeo, and that I was their favorite bareback rider. And so they got out of their seat after I rode and went to the alley and waited until I walked by to say hi to me. And so in that small glimpse, the good Lord give me a reality check of that someone's always watching you. You know what I mean? Someone's always watching you. And end up taking them, at the NFR, they give you a bunch of stuff, and I give them Indian boys half the stuff they give me. I took them, their mom and dad was at the Jack in the Box right outside the parking lot of the Thomas and Mack waiting on them. Drove them over there in my van, gave them all this stuff. And what's funny is one of those boys I've kept in touch with over the years, and he's sent me some artwork. But the point behind this is I've always fallen back on that to no matter how bad it is and how bad times seem, there's always a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. And I am super, super honored to be here. This is an awesome fraternity to be a part of. Like I said before, you look through these names, there's nobody good. They're all great. And I am truly honored to be here, and thank you so much.
I'm going to remember the words, there's nobody here that's good. They're all great for the rest of my life. That was well said. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you to the Texas Rodeo Cowboy Hall of Fame. Now, before you go, Darrell Barron's got a couple of last thoughts for you. Darrell?
Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming today. We appreciate your support. I just got a couple announcements. Number one, nominations for the 2022 class are going to close August 31st. We'll have that posted on our website and Facebook. Congratulations to all the inductees. Have a safe trip home today. Thank you.